Hi, hello, and welcome everyone to the Codefest 2021, sponsored by Click to Cloud, powered by Centaurus Community. Our partners: Research for Resurgence Foundation, FutureY Technologies, Huawei Cloud, Alibaba Cloud, GridGain, Reinvent Labs, Informatics, Soda Foundation, media partner Click to Media. I'm your host Nikhil Aprajit, event organizer at Click to Cloud, and I take immense pleasure to welcome you all to this amazing journey that we will be having over the next few hours, taking deep dive into the world of 5G, AI, and cloud computing. I'm joined by my co-host Rupal Chirpurkar, who is the business head at Click to Cloud INC. We have a very exciting session lined up for you guys where we are bringing industry leaders from various companies speaking on open 5G, edge computing, cloud computing, and artificial intelligence. Let's get on with the session, guys. So we have an amazing session lined up for you guys, as you guys already must have known. We have Mr. Prashant Mishra, who will be headlining the keynote session. Then we have Dr. Ying Xiao, who is the technical VP head of Cloud Lab at FutureY Technologies, and he will be speaking on shaping the future of cloud computing, cloud native infrastructure at the age of AI, 5G, and edge. Then we'll be hosting an amazing panel discussion that will be headlined by Annie Lai, who is the current board director, primary and alternate at CNCF, OCI, LF Edge. And we will be joined by Deepak Vij, who is the principal cloud technology strategist at FutureY Cloud Lab. And we'll be also having Mr. Shaun Yang. He's an engineering manager at ByteDance TikTok. They will be hosting a panel discussion on the group of industry leaders on the ecosystem of the Centaurus project. And they'll be explaining us what Centaurus project is, what their vision with Centaurus project is. Followed by a keynote on Polaris Cloud, managing cloud and edge SLOs with specialized Kubernetes controller that would be conducted by Dr. Stephen Nastic, who is the founder and CEO of Reinvent Labs. Then that will be followed by a session on managing speed and scale in cloud, 5G, and edge deployments using GridGain, given by Mr. Stephen Darlington, who's a senior consultant at GridGain. Followed by a session on Huawei Cloud and its capabilities by Mr. Cedric Saber, who is the Middle East Ecosystem and Industry Development Manager, Cloud and AI at Huawei Cloud. We'll be also touching in on the magic of AI and cloud in our daily lives, which will be headlined by Mr. Gavin Liu, who's the Solutions Architect Director at Alibaba Cloud, followed by a session on CNCF OpenYurt, Empower Native Kubernetes with Edge Computing Capabilities, hosted by Yunqi Huang, who is a staff engineer at Alibaba Cloud. These are all the speakers for you guys here ahead. I hope we see you to the end of the session, and including Click to Cloud. He's currently the founder and CEO of Click to Cloud Incorporated, and his aim is to make Nagpur the cloud city of India. Prashant sir, with an honor, it's all over to you.
Much, Nikhil. Let me change my view so I can have a gallery view of everyone here. Good morning to everyone in India. Good evening to everyone in United States. I'm very excited, and as Rupal mentioned, that we are living into this interesting era of cloud computing. Last 2 years, we have seen enormous amount of sad things happening around us. COVID has taken quite a toll on the rest of the world. And it has also triggered some of the innovations in the world because the workplaces have changed to become more like a modern workplace. The dependencies on the technology have been increased. Nobody ever imagined the kids will not go to school and will be attending their online schooling through their mobile devices. We never realized that all the transactions will be so much online in nature. All the demands in the technology has been growing significantly. I'll give you a little bit of background, which will be slightly different from what the current discussion is all about. My mission with the Codefest is to make Nagpur as a cloud city. I'd like to see that Nagpur becomes a forefront for the cloud computing. And this is a small initiative from Click to Cloud to get the Nagpur related initiatives to the rest of the world. I'm very excited to see almost like 600 plus people joined from Bangalore, from Pune, from Delhi, all over the India. And all our renowned speakers are joining today from USA, Seattle, San Francisco. from Vienna and from Europe and several other countries around the globe. Very excited to have you all today. I'd like to start my session with the brief introduction. I'm going to share my screen about the session today. So in the today's session, I'm going to mainly discuss the aspect of 5G solutions across the telcos and enterprises. And we are going to talk about different use cases that I come across in the industry. So we will have many technical aspects covered by Dr. Shaun, Dr. Xiao, and Dr. Stephen. But in today's discussion, I'll mainly cover the topics which are mainly related to use case of cloud computing. If you guys remember that many years ago in India, we used to have traffic signals, and those traffic signals eventually got sorry, I meant to say traffic police. All those traffic police was gone once the traffic signal came into the existence. Some of you also remember the bank counter where the person used to count money with using their thumb and old style practices. Now those things are also gone from the based on the ATMs that are available in the market. Here's a brief introduction about me. I am Prashant, CEO and founder for Click to Cloud. And our goal has been, as I mentioned, that we wanted to make Nagpur as a smart city and a cloud city. So today I'm going to cover three core topics about smart farming. I'm also going to talk about the smart public services, the city and the command center. I'm also going to talk about some of the health related services. So the first topic is few years ago, we started working on first response application, which is a 5G based application where we integrate IoT devices. We integrate several key systems to basically come up with a first response guideline. And you can see Dr. Mahatme and Tony Townsend, who is the SVP public sector in Microsoft. We have presented this idea based on a global need where we have seen opium overdose or CPR related need in America, while we have also seen the need in countries like India, Africa, and other places where blood donation, integrated services for ambulance, fire, and police were required for providing the help. And that's where the first response application was sort of like put together. The first response allows the end users to basically connect with emergency services. It allows people to basically get into the area of getting like the core pieces together. It also allows to integrate with the cloud computing. This is one of the example from city of Seattle, where you can see various example, including public disturbance, a stray dog on the street, car reported stolen, some kind of domestic disturbance, elderly person fallen. So basically, any kind of incidents will be reported, and Officer Carlson in this case has been sort of like dispatched to address the speeding, and that's how we sort of like calculate the first response system. And this is like a dashboard which allows you to keep track of everything. So the goal here is to showcase like how and cloud computing, whether it's with the geographical application, with IoT device, with telecom, is able to solve the problem in the core areas which day to day the citizens would require. I'm going to also talk about, so this is another explanation about how exactly the core services work, where we have integrated different blood bank and donors with the ambulance system for the first response system. Second is like topic I'm going to talk about is in smart agriculture. And smart agriculture, we have built system on top of Microsoft FarmBeats. FarmBeats gives in real-time analytics of your farmland, which allows the farmers to basically have a high quality crops, better planning for their crop. And in that one, we capture like the light, what is desired for the crop. We also capture temperature, moisture, humidity, other aspect of it, in fact, including the nitrogen, pH, potassium, phosphorus. And most of the people in our area are basically used to like rice crop, as well as there's a cotton crop. So we have done a huge analysis in that area based on several things like IoT integration, machine learning, with also some of like text analytics. And you can see like GIS integration. You can also see the big data integration. You also see like AI based real-time analytics and some kind of predictive analytics, that particular crop recommended for those kind of like soil, or for different chemical composition, it automatically determines which crop would be the best for the farmers. I'm going to switch my screen temporarily to show the dashboard in the real-time application. This is the dashboard for the farm beats, where you can see that we have figured out that for the city of Nagpur, some of the crops that are recommended are pomegranate, cotton, muskmelon, coconut, and grapes. So it's all based on the temperature and the soil. This all has been computed automatically using the cloud computing. And this is what we want to show, like there is so much of power using the cloud computing in the today's era. This is one of my favorite thing, where I see that the agriculture monitoring through the drone, where also drone can do the pesticides as well as fertilizer distribution. This is my trip to Japan, where I have encountered and also sort of learn about this solution, where you can have an urbanization while you can also have like a rural crop as well as waste management plant working together. In the video, you can see like there is a waste management plant which sends the clear water. Fertilizers can be also sort of like reaped out of that waste management plant, and they can be put together. This is the clean water has been put into the entire farm. And you can see that it's a coexistence of like urban life as well as the city life and the rural agriculture space. So I call that as a smart farming. And in this session today, we are going to talk about Centauros, which is an AI-based platform, as well as a 5G-based container cloud platform, which has an ability to connect with all these pieces together. And in the next presentations from other technical leaders, you will hear more about how you can utilize this technology in the real-time scenarios. Let's talk about the opportunities and events that are coming. I mean, you guys have, I guess, so far excited about the use of these applications. So we want to continue building on this. So we'll have a Codefest hackathon from October to January. We also got the support from TechFest Nagpur first. And I had a call with Mr. Mukul Kanetkar from Education Department India, as well as Gurdeep Paul from SVP Microsoft. And they both have agreed to join our next TechFest event. We also have an international meetup as well as the open source job fair. You will hear more about contributing to the open source as well as being part of the open source ecosystem in the upcoming sessions. Opportunities for the new developers or the new people who are in the market. You saw in my presentation that we can solve many complex problems which affects day-to-day life for the people, like first response, smart agri, smart city, smart healthcare, and so on and so forth. I see that in future we will be focusing more on modern workplace security and surveillance. Software storage will take the front seat. We'll also see the cloud computing as well as business and social apps. I would recommend many of my friends today attending this call to basically go through AI plus GPT 3.0. The new technologies are like graphs based on the AI, the big data machine learning, edge computing, full stack development, DevOps, network and infra. And there could be another opportunities in machine learning areas which are upcoming in terms of like IoT devices or integration with some of the 5G related services. Mission of smart cities in India. Like I bring this topic of like think unthinkable. Think unthinkable is all about ensuring that based on my travel around the globe, that Beijing has been able to control the pollution into the city. The fog level used to be 482, now it has been brought down to 29. Very healthy air in the atmosphere. So basically, something that we would like to achieve with the cloud computing, increase that kind of feasibility in the environment, and have a better life for people around the country. Another example that we come across while we also kind of like work together was artificial energy, or sort of like getting a solar energy converted to an artificial moon. Something that cities like Nagpur or other cities in India can utilize. With that, I would like to thank you everyone for attending the session today. I really appreciate you participating with us in the Codefest 2021. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Uh, I hope your vision of making Nagpur the cloud city of India comes true. And with this message, we'll get started with the Codefest. Uh, quick disclaimer before we begin. I request you all, when you are chatting in the comment section, please be nice and be respectful to each and every one. Please do not spam your comments. If you have any questions to our panelists, there is a Q&A section in your Zoom. You can ask your questions in that Q&A tab if you want your questions to be answered. We'll try to answer a few of the questions if the speakers are open with it. Also, we have a Twitter contest going on, where if you tag our Twitter handle at click2cloudinc, I repeat, at click2cloudinc. If you tag us and tweet about Codefest 2021 using our hashtags hashtag Codefest 2021 and hashtag 5GenCloud, you may stand to win amazing, exciting goodies. So I encourage all of you, while you're attending Codefest, tweet about us, tag us, and you'll win prizes. Okay, let's begin. Before we begin, as a formal introduction to Codefest, let's watch an AV and then we'll begin. With this in mind, I now declare Codefest 2021 as open. Rupal, please carry on the proceedings.
Yeah, thanks, Nikhil. So thank you so much, Prashant, for giving us the entire insights on your vision to get Nagpur to the next step. I'm sure we have a great, enthusiastic people around us, and we'll take this vision to the next step. So with that, in this digital era where we see like more and more workload is moving to cloud, and there is like increasing demand of cloud infrastructure, where at the same time we saw that edge computing is really transforming the way that data has been handled, data has been processed, data has been delivered from like million of devices. Doesn't matter whether it's like IoT devices, your smartwatches, your automated cars, and we see that this open source ecosystems are rapidly involving this kind of and playing the important role to meet the demand of each of this industry. And we have an industry expert with us today, Dr. Shaun Yang. He's a technical vice president and head of cloud lab at FutureWave Technology. He has 20 plus years of experience in distributed systems and large scale cloud computing architecture and designs. He's also CNCF board member, and he has a deep insights of cloud native technologies. He's currently heading the research and technology projects, including cloud, edge computing, also large scale virtual network management for AI platform, and that optimized by ML applications. So without taking much time, I would like to introduce Dr. Shaun Yang to proceed and share us more insights on your vision to grow this open source ecosystem through Centaurus. Over to you, Dr. Shaun.
Thank you, Robo, and thanks again for the time. Let me share my slides. Well, by the way, there's a cool videos. They show you up there. Anyway, okay. Hello, everyone, again. Welcome to Codefest 2021. My name is Shaun Yang, as Rupa mentioned. I'm with Virtual Technologies. Before joining Huawei or Virtual, I worked for Microsoft for 8 or 9 years. They're working actually on the Azure cloud side. But anyway, first of all, I would like to thank Click Cloud to sponsor and host this event. Thank them for giving me or give us the opportunity to speak here at the Codefest. So today, my topic is about the future of cloud infrastructure. I will share with you some of the challenges that we are facing in building the next generation cloud infrastructure, especially in the age of AI and 5G and edge computing. So close to the end of my talk, I will introduce you the Centaurus open source project that has been mentioned. And that project is designed to tackle some of the challenges that I'm going to talk about for the next generation app. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. I'm sure you have heard a lot of AI and 5G edge computing technologies, whether in the conference or already in the articles or even the newspapers. Those are hot buzzwords in those days. But what is true is that the blending of AI and edge and the cloud computing, 5G, actually present a unique opportunities for many businesses to support groundbreaking use cases, such as IoT, the report mentioned that, mobile edge cloud or mobile edge computing, we call MECs, real-time machine learning or real-time AI, self-driving car, and those on. Those are from the business perspective. From technology perspective, the combination of AI and 5G and edge is actually driving the innovation of cloud computing for all industries. And the traditional cloud computing infrastructure has to evolve to be able to manage and run and manage the new type of applications, such as cloud gaming, cloud phones, federated AIs, and AR and VR, all those new type of applications. Now, those new type of applications are actually driving the traditional cloud or centralized cloud infrastructure to more distributed cloud architectures. Last year in Gartner's conference, Gartner introduced a concept of distributed cloud. The distributed cloud enables business to use a cloud infrastructure at multiple different locations, of course, including at edge. That together with 5G, that enable extremely low latency applications that require by the business, where at the same time, to meet the security, all the other local compliance and regulation policies, including the privacies. Now, building the distributed cloud infrastructure is not easy, as you see. We are facing many challenges in moving from traditional centralized cloud infrastructure to more distributed architecture. Now, the first and more obvious challenge is that we need an infrastructure to manage not only large, super large cloud data centers, but also many, many hundreds or even thousands of edge clusters at remote locations. In some cases, those edge clusters or edge cloud, some people call it, they are in hierarchy structures. For example, you may have edge clusters at the city level. You may have many edge clusters at regional level or the state level or even at the national level. And those edge clusters or clusters that talk to each other to manage each other, they're actually forming a hierarchy cloud. And that's the type of distributed cloud that people mentioned. Now, building a infrastructure to manage such complex distributed cloud is not easy. It's very challenging. Now, similarly, with distributed cloud infrastructure, provisioning and managing the cloud network, such as VPCs, subnet, routing rules, security policies, or security groups that across data center and across many agent locations is extremely challenging. Think of many agent locations where you have a different type of network qualities and different type of network bandwidth. Now you have to extend your applications onto the edge. You extend your virtual network, you extend your application network onto the edge, where you really don't have a control over the physical network components. But from distributed cloud perspective, the infrastructure has to manage this. That sometimes the network over there is unstable, sometimes it's unpredictable, but overall, you have to manage it from the distributed cloud perspective. That is really hard to do. The third challenge is that we need a unified one infrastructure to manage multiple type of computing resources, such as virtual machines, containers, serverless, or even bare metal servers, as you already all know. That for different type of workloads, because they require, some workload require virtual machine to run much better than run in the containers, or some workload that run containers much better in the virtual machine, for example. So unify those infrastructures to make it one is very challenging. Everyone working in the cloud infrastructure project know that this is really hard to do also. Now with distributed cloud environment where computer nodes everywhere, whether it's in the large regional data centers or at remote edge locations, where to run customer application to achieve low latency, high throughput, or high performance, while at the same time optimize your resource utilization is another challenge that we constantly facing. Everyone building cloud infrastructure know that that's very difficult. Distributed, especially in the distributed cloud, require a global view of all resources across data centers or across edge locations. And the infrastructure has to be very smart to know how or where to allocate resources to the multi-tenant applications. So sometimes we call this global and intelligent scheduling. And that's also a very challenge to do. Last but not least challenge in the distributed cloud environment is that we need the same infrastructure to be optimized to manage AI or machine learning workloads more efficiently between the edge and the cloud. For use cases such as federated learnings, coordinated learnings, and they require a very coordinated edge cloud infrastructure support between the edge or between the cloud and the edge. So the distributed cloud require that a view of the all resources, and the infrastructure needs to support all different type of AI framework, for such as PyTorch, TensorFlow, and be able to manage the GPU resources across the data center, across the device, the edge devices. So again, the resource scheduling must be very smart to allocate the GPU resource to different type of AI workload, so that the AI workload that has better performance, you finish the AI jobs as quick as possible, this AI learning jobs. At the same time, you full utilize the GPU resource. That is not just the one data center, it's across the data center, it's across the edge. And we think that's also very challenging to do. So with that, all the challenges keeping in mind, now I'm going to quickly introduce you to the Centaurus open source project. And we have been working on this project since almost 2 years ago. The project aims to solve many challenges and I have been talking about. Its goal is to become a cloud native infrastructure for the new age, for the new type of applications that come in the next 5 or 10 years. Now, last year, December 2020, Centaurus project became a official Linux Foundation project under cloud infrastructure categories. Now, I want to go through the Centaurus project itself in more detail, the architectures, the components. There will be a session, I have a deep dive later in today in this event that you will hear about a more deep dive of Centaurus project itself. But here I would like to mention a few major features with the current Centaurus release, or all the release that the teams currently working on, or the community currently working on. Centaurus, as you know, is a large-scale infrastructure cluster management. With the current release, we are able to achieve the scale of 50,000 computer nodes per cluster. Yes, Centaurus with current release, we can manage up to 50,000 computer nodes per clusters. Or at the same time, Centaurus can also manage many edge clusters that deploy at different geographic locations, and then be able to deploy or push user workload, user applications onto the edge where you run and manage it from there. You also allow those applications or two applications running on the two different edge that can communicate each other through edge-to-edge communication, we call it. For those who knows Kubernetes, which is another open source project on the CNCF foundations, Centaurus Edge solution is based on the Kubernetes architecture. Centaurus extend the Kubernetes architecture with the ability to manage hierarchy edge clusters, with the ability to allow applications to run on the two different edge that communicate each other directly without through the cloud. That's we call an edge gateway. Third, with current Centaurus release, Centaurus can manage both VM and the container workload with the same unified orchestration system, with the same unified scheduler or allocation algorithms. If you deploy applications, you can specify what of components can run on the VMs, what the components can run on the containers, though they are belongs to one app or one applications. But you can select, you have a choice to select you run a VM or container, even service in the future. That schedulings were the same scheduler, same orchestration to orchestrate where to run. Some components may be run on this edge, some other components may be run on the cloud, some components of your application may be on the different edge. And that we call a hybrid orchestration for your applications. Additionally, Centaurus using a Linux kernel applications called XDP or eBPF. We're using this technology to build a high performance cloud network data plane, where we're using XP programs to route or forward the traffic between VMs, between containers, or between the VM and the container in high performance fashions. Lastly, we just released a first version of our AI platform, a sub project on the Centaurus. We call Elasticity AI platform. Now with this project, we extend the infrastructures, Centaurus infrastructures, to be more elastic AI platform to run AI jobs. It has the capability to profile GPU usage and then be able to schedule or allocate your applications or AI jobs based on the actual real dynamic GPU usage, so that we can fully use the GPU resources or other AI related resources. At the same time, we make AI job running quicker, the AI training jobs running quicker. With that, and that's end of my talk. Again, there will be a more deep dive session later in this event. Hopefully you stay here that the sessions. There will be also sessions that for the Centaurus community update. I hope you'll stay with that too. There is also a website called Centaurus website, www.centaurusinfra.io. If you're interested, you can go there and learn about the Centaurus. And thank you very much. And that's enough of my talk. Rupal, back to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shaun, for giving us the entire insights and introducing this Centaurus project. I really appreciate your time and efforts for giving us the insights on what Centaurus is. So just quickly, Centaurus is an open source project for entire people who are online. They can start contributing. It's a project like cloud infrastructure platform that can be used to build your public and private cloud. And it's a combination of traditional IaaS and PaaS layer into a single infrastructure platform that can simplify your cloud management and reduce your management cost. And best part, it's open source. It is built by an industry experts and approved by Linux Foundation. So with that, I would ask Nikhil to proceed with the next step. And good part is we are getting a very good traction on other social channels and our streaming platforms as well. So far, we have received more than 50 tweets on Twitter and other channels. So we really appreciate your support, and we see this community is going to be a big way with our Indian experts and the techies who is going to be part of this ecosystem. So thank you so much. With that, Nikhil, please proceed to the next.
Thank you so much, Rupal. Before moving on ahead, again, I would like to say what Rupal said. The Twitter is exploding. You guys are crazy. You guys are amazing. Keep tweeting, keep tagging us, because now for tweeting about Click to Cloud and tweeting about the Codefest, I'm going to give you guys a chance to win. So I'm going to pick one random tweet. Okay, I'm going to pick one random tweet and give that person who should be in the meeting a chance to win exciting goodies. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go on Twitter right now, and I'm going to select the tweet I like, and then I'm going to give him or her a chance to win. All right, let's do this. Okay, we are on Twitter. This is the Click to Cloud handle. Again, all the people watching the stream, please look at this handle. You got to tag us on this handle at Click to Cloud INC. Use this handle, tag us, and you may stand to win amazing goodies. Okay, so let's see the tweet. You have to use this hashtag Codefest 2021, and let's see the top tweet. Okay, so we have Tanmay here, Tanmay 30. This is the top tweet. Tanmay, if you are on the meeting, I'm going to now allow you to talk. Tanmay, if you are there, you can raise your hand. If Tanmay is not there, then I'm going to move on ahead. Okay, so you just have to tweet and then come back to the meeting, or else you might lose your chance to win. I'm moving on. I'm going to go on the latest of tweets, and I'm going to pick one random name from our comment section now. All right. Okay, Tushar, I'm going to give you a chance to talk. All right. Hi, Tushar. You can unmute yourself. Tushar Charde. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Tushar.
Yes.
How are you?
Hi.
Where are you
Hi,
from?
sir. I'm fine. I'm from Nagpur.
Okay.
Purkeshwar.
Okay. So we are going to play a very small little game. Okay. I have a wheel of fortune here. Okay. Can you see my wheel of fortune?
Okay.
So when you say start,
Yes,
I'm going to spin the wheel, and whatever this wheel stops on, this is the prize that we are going to give you. Okay. Let's do this. You tell me whenever I start. So let's start. Woo. Congratulations. You have won an Alibaba Cloud certificate for associate cloud computing. We'll take all your details. You put us all your details in our DM. Our team will reach out to you on Twitter, and they'll take all the details from you. Okay. And they'll provide you all the instructions that are needed to get the prize. Got it?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for being such a sport. Okay, this was it, ladies and gentlemen. This was the activity, and this is what we are going to do throughout this session. Okay, I'm going to give you a chance to tweet on us on Twitter using the hashtags #Codefest2021 and #5GenCloud. You have to use these hashtags and tag us on Twitter at @ClickToCloudINC, and you may stand to win all these amazing gifts like cloud certificates, t-shirts, headphones, and smartwatches, and all that stuff. Okay, let's move on ahead with our session now. So we have a panel discussion on the Centaurus project and its capabilities, hosted by Annie Lai, who is the current board director at CNCF, OCI, and LFH. She has been a long-term open source supporter, specializing in open source strategy, process, business model, compliance, operations, and marketing. She's currently working with FutureWay open source projects covering Kubernetes, cloud native, cloud edge, OpenStack, and more. Annie has served on the OpenStack Foundation board for 4 years and is currently serving on the CNCF, OCI, and LFH boards, as I've told you guys, participating in various board committees, including outreach, marketing, etc. So over to you, Annie. Please introduce us to the panelists and get on with the session.
Great. Thank you so much, Anil. And the raffle was really fun. Hello, everyone. It's so good to see you here. And without further ado, I know we're running a little behind, so I'm just going to move forward. So you heard from Dr. Shaun. He talked about basically the business case of why we created the project Centaurus. And at a very high level, the Centaurus, the business case, the challenges, the opportunities. And for the next 35 minutes or so, we're going to take the conversation down to like 300 feet. And so first, we're going to talk about the Centaurus project, how that is being run in the open source community. Obviously, we follow, open design, open communication, open collaboration, but more specifically, we want to talk to you about how the project is being operated in an open way. So first, I'd like to introduce our first speaker for this session, Dr. Xiao Ning. By the way, is Xiao Ning here? Could you
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, awesome. And so I'd like to introduce Dr. Shaun Yang. He is currently engineering manager at ByteDance. For those of you who are younger, you probably know TikTok better than ByteDance. ByteDance is TikTok's parent company, and Shaun Yang is leading the ByteDance cloud infrastructure group in US. He, outside of his day job, he also serves as the chair of the TSC, we call it Technical Steering Committee, for the Centaurus project, which is under Linux Foundation now. And Shaun Yang has extensive experience in research and development of cloud infrastructure, large-scale computer cluster, container technology, cloud networking. And before joining ByteDance, he worked for Microsoft and FutureWay. So Shaun Yang, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Annie, for the introduction. Let me share my screen. Okay.
Yes.
Again, thank you, Annie, for the introduction. And hi, everyone. It's very nice to meet you all on this Codefest event. As Annie mentioned, my name is Xiao Ning. I'm an engineering manager from ByteDance. In Centaurus community, we have a TSC, Technical Steering Committee, and I'm currently serving as the chair of the TSC. So today, I'd like to take this opportunity to use several minutes to quickly introduce the TSC and the several SIGs on the TSC to you, so you can understand how we operate this open source community. First, I want to introduce ourselves, who we are. We are a small group of people elected from either the founding members of the Centaurus community or from the different technical projects in the community. The job assigned to us is to oversee the Centaurus project execution from the technical perspective. As a TSC, we are now operating under a well-defined TSC charter from Linux Foundation. We are a small group of people. Now we have 7 members. Some of the speakers you have seen, like Prishan, or some of the speakers that you will see soon, like Deepak or Stefan, they are all our TSC members. Centaurus now doesn't have an official board, so TSC also helping on some board responsibilities. So we have 2 subgroups under TSC. We had an advisory board where we invite some industry leaders or professors to come and offer suggestions for the Centaurus community. And we also have a subcommittee of marketing and outreaching. Annie and Rupal is leading the effort. The next thing I want to talk about is what we do in the TSC. Of course, TSC is supposed to guide the technical directions. But what exactly do we do to do this? TSC now focus on this kind of tasks. The first one is to coordinate the technical directions of the different projects from our 4 SIGs. By SIG, I mean special interest groups. Centaurus is a community. It's also a group of projects. It has several different projects hosted by different SIGs. Each SIG usually only focus on its own domain area. As a result, we need an institute to coordinate these technical efforts and directions to make sure they are consistent and not conflicting with each other. TNC also need to approve projects and retire projects. Centaurus community, from time to time, we will launch some new projects or accept some external projects. And when a project reaches the end of its life cycle, we also need to retire it. TLC is an institute to make such decisions. According to the Centaurus TLC charter, now we require a simple majority vote mechanism to do such decisions. And the TLC also may do some cross-project technical issues and requirements. Sometimes, for example, we probably will decide to invest on a large technical area or technical direction. And this will involve several projects or different SIGs. Centaurus TLC need to coordinate among these SIGs or projects. And of course, we also need to establish some like common norms or policies. These are across the different projects for the entire community. And lastly, because we do not have a board, so now TLC is also responsible for coordinating marketing events like today's one, and also for the external communications. And how we execute. Centaurus, the entire community and the TLC are operating under the principles of open, public, and easily accessible. These are the key principles for our operation. TLC members meet regularly on the last Tuesday of each month. And our meetings are all open and public. It's not only about TLC members. Everybody is welcome to dive in. But of course, for some decisions, only TLC members can vote. And we have a public working document. This document is accessible by anyone. It tracks all our meeting history, the meeting notes, the decisions we made, and why we made such decisions. And it also tracks the agenda for the upcoming TLC meeting. So if someone wants to propose a new topic for the next meeting, he only needs to add the topic into the list. Between the meetings, we are using the public email groups and Slack channels for offline discussions. And all our decisions, meeting notes, and presenting the material are all public accessible. You just need to access our TLC GitHub repo. On the homepage, you will find the links to all this. And I think just briefly touched that there are different SIGs, special interest groups in Centaurus community. So here I also want to give a quick overview of these SIGs. Currently, we have 4 SIGs. Each SIG focuses on different domain area. The first one is the SIG scalability. From the name, you can guess it's working on the scalability side. Now it's mostly about the computer side, the scalability of a project called Arctos. But later on, it could extend to other projects. And we have a SIG Edge. Its mission is to extend the Centaurus infra from central cloud to the edge to make a really distributed cloud platform. It works to solve critical issues like the edge cluster management, resource scheduling, or edge networking. And we also have a group called Sig AI. It actually works on 2 different areas. One is called infra for AI. The other one is called AI for infra. AI for infra is basically we're trying to use machine learning to improve Centaurus itself as a platform. While infra for AI is we have some built-in designs and optimizations to provide a better experience for the machine learning workloads running on Centaurus platform. And the last SIG is Sig Networking. This is the SIG that hosts our MISA project. And MISA is a large-scale, high-performance cloud networking built around the XDP and eBPF. These are the 4 SIGs we have. They host different projects. later on, Deepak will give an introduction to all these different projects. And this is pretty much I want to talk about the TSC and the 4 different SIGs. Here are some links if you are interested in. We welcome everybody to participate in our activities or offer suggestions for us. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Shaun Yang. I just pay attention. I'll keep the slide up, go back. Yeah, this particular slide. Just make sure that you join the email groups. And you don't have to, if you're not sure about the project, you just want to have questions or just want to learn about what people are interested in and regarding this project, it will be really good to sign up for the email groups. And if you want to look at source code, the repo is there. And also, if you want to start participating in this project, earlier I saw there's a question about how to participate in Click-to-Cloud project. Centaurus is also one of the Click-to-Cloud projects. And so if you are interested in participating, you can go through the previous meeting notes, but don't get intimidated. If you just, brand new, feel free just send an email to the email group. I'm sure you'll get a lot of support from the team. Okay, okay, moving on. Thank you, Shaun Yang, again. And
Thank you,
moving on,
Annie.
our next speaker, but don't leave yet. We're gonna have a question for you later.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, moving on, our next speaker, Deepak, you have heard his name multiple times. So Deepak is going to do a deep dive of the Centaurus project. He's gonna talk about all these pillar, these projects that pillar the Centaurus umbrella project, which is the highly scalable infrastructure platform for distributed cloud environment. And just want to, introduce Deepak a little bit. Deepak is currently principal cloud technology strategist at FutureWay Cloud Lab. And he's also the member of the TSC of the Centaurus project. Deepak has extensive leadership experience as technology visionary, board member, evangelist. Deepak has extensively worked on creating distributed computing technology solutions, design system architecture, and delivering system using appropriate programming models and system engineering practices. So you can tell Deepak has a lot of experiences. So without further ado, Deepak, please take over. It's all yours.
Good. Thanks, Annie. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
And you can see the screen as well.
Yes.
Slide deck. Great. Yeah, thank you very much, Annie. And first of all, thanks for inviting me to this great event. Wow, I look at the number of participants, about 450 participants. So it's really a great event. So hats off to the organizers, Annie and Rupal. Great job. So yeah, I think as Annie mentioned, my name is Deepak Vaj, and I'm a cloud technology strategist at FutureWay. In this talk, I'm gonna be presenting a deep dive into the Centaurus project. All the key sub-projects that underline technology pillars as part of Centaurus project. So essentially what that means is I'm going to be covering the next level of details to what Dr. Shaun has already kind of covered that very nicely as part of the overall overview of the Centaurus project. Okay. Yeah, so Centaurus cloud infrastructure. So this, it's Dr. Shaun mentioned that the project Centaurus is a Linux Foundation. We donated this project to Linux Foundation around November last year. And this essentially is targeted geared towards building out unified and highly scalable public or private distributed cloud infrastructure. The key thing to emphasize here is the distributed cloud infrastructure, and we'll get into that actually, what that means. How is that different than the traditional cloud computing environment? And as was mentioned before as well, the Centaurus project was built out especially to meet the challenges, to address the challenges posed by the emerging applications such as AI and 5G applications. These set of applications, they have very, very different dimensions, which the traditional applications didn't have. Things such as very low latency, mobility, location awareness, the privacy, security, and so many other things you see. And so you need a very different cloud infrastructure to be able to enable such, to be able to support such, type of applications. So at the, from a be able to provide the hyperscaler like capability, this essentially changes the whole, the enterprise IT landscape. So what that means is essentially with the CentOS cloud platform, enterprise ITs can build out a public cloud scale cloud infrastructure in their own data centers, as you see. Instead of hosting their application landscape in a public cloud, they can build their own public cloud scale cloud infrastructure themselves. Okay, and so CentOS, just to kind of a high level, just give an analogy. CentOS is essentially a packaging, overarching packaging umbrella project. Okay? Just like OpenStack is an umbrella project, and underneath that you have a Nova Compute, that you have a networking, Neutron networking. Similarly, we have sub-projects underneath CentOS, and these projects are the following. Arctos is a compute project, and just like OpenStack has Nova Compute, CentOS has Arctos as a compute project. And Mizar is the next generation, very high scalable and high performant cloud networking, which we built from ground up. And Fornex is autonomous and flexible edge computing sub-project. And Elnair is an intelligent platform for AI workloads. Okay, so we'll get into all of these projects in the subsequent slides. So first, I'm going to be covering the Arctos compute project. So this is, as I mentioned, Arctos compute is designed for large-scale cloud infrastructure, and it essentially evolved from Kubernetes code base, and it has the same API, same experience, which you would typically find in Kubernetes cloud platform. Same set of API objects like pods, replica sets, and nodes, and all that. So what we did was, in order, and then the next bullet item, there are three major features I wanted to highlight that, as part of Arctos. See, unified cloud infrastructure resource support, high throughput and low latency, multi-tenancy support, and we'll get into that in the subsequent slides. But the key thing to emphasize that is, in order for us to enable all this, we had to do major surgery, major overhaul of Kubernetes code base, and to be able to realize all of these capabilities as part of CentOS. So what we ended up doing was, we took the upstream Kubernetes code base and we forked it, and then we kind of, and the reason we had to do that was, in order for us to realize this high hyperscaler cloud capability, we had to make lots of core design changes to the underlying code base. So that's why we that's what the background is actually. So essentially, we took the I think release 1.16, and from there on, we kind of extended it to enable all of these capabilities as part of CentOS project. So, so this is kind of a high level, very 30,000 feet level view of 30,000 view of what CentOS project is from architecture standpoint. So the key things to say, if you folks are familiar with the Kubernetes, the key thing to emphasize here is that we have partitioned the control plane at every level actually. So just like in upstream Kubernetes, you have a control plane. You have a bunch of controllers, schedulers, and the other controllers, and then you have a data plane, the kubelet, and the all other components at that level. So what we have done is we have partitioned that in order for us to be able to go up to 100,000 nodes in a cluster. So we have pretty much partitioned at every level. So you have a tenant partition, which is a control plane partitioning at and then at the resource, at the machine level, we have different partitioning at the resource manager. So you can have different resource managers. So that this essentially this design, this architecture allows us to scale much beyond, Kubernetes can scale or OpenStack can scale. And by doing that, you can see that on the slide as well. So we have introduced new constructs such as the tenant partition, resource managers, and so these are the new constructs. Actually, we have enabled that as part of the overarching CentOS architecture. So from a numbers perspective, so the very first feature which I mentioned enabled by Arctos is high scalability. So we're talking about 100,000 nodes in a cluster, which is a huge undertaking. If you think about it, Kubernetes currently cannot support more than 10,000 or 50,000 nodes in a cluster. OpenStack cannot even go beyond 5,000. So in order for us to be able to have a hyperscaler scale cloud infrastructure, we need to have a cluster a big size so that it can have 100,000 nodes in it. You see, 100,000 nodes machines as part of the cluster. And then we currently, as we mentioned that in a previous presentation, that we currently are able to have 50,000 nodes in a cluster, and then we are striving towards 100,000 nodes, and then eventually 300,000 nodes in a cluster. So you can imagine the scale we are targeting actually. And typically, actually, if you look at all the cloud providers, they do have this kind of scale. The Amazons and the Googles and all that. And we want to be able to enable this scale in an open source environment, which currently doesn't exist in OpenStack or Kubernetes. And all the control plane components are scale out and highly available. Tenant workloads are partitioned, actually. So that's a key thing to emphasize here. So the next feature was the multi-tenancy, actually. So multi-tenancy is a tenant is a first-class citizen as part of Arctos and CentOS in general. So what that means is, and in order for us to kind of enable that, enable multi-tenancy as part of CentOS, we had to do major overhaul, major surgery of Kubernetes code base, actually, and so that the different flavors of multi-tenancy have been attempted by the community, Kubernetes community, that's using namespace, but those are not really true multi-tenancy environment. You see, what we wanted to enable was a real hard multi-tenancy where the multiple tenants can very securely coexist in a single cluster, basically. See, so let's say you have this giant cluster of 100,000 nodes, and then you should be able to accommodate thousands of tenants in a single cluster. You see, it's a true hard multi-tenancy, and it was a challenge. So we had to do major surgery to make all this happen. So essentially, what we did was we had to allow the tenant ID, the tenant concept, flow through the entire system. Actually, in order for us, each and every API object you have in Kubernetes has to be aware of what the tenant ID is. You see. So that allows the hard multi-tenancy as part of CentOS. So keep in mind, you have to account for API objects which are namespace aware, and some of the API objects are not namespace aware. So we had to do kind of all this kind of designs to how do we manage that, and then at the same time be able to enable the multi-tenancy as well. So there was that's a great challenge. So that's one of the very key feature we have as part of Arctos project. And then the unification of workloads. So typically, if you want to orchestrate a VM, you go to OpenStack. If you want to orchestrate a container, you go to Kubernetes. So you have two different stacks. You have duplicated components. So obviously, that results in a higher maintenance cost and operational cost. So we wanted to address that issue. So what we have is a common unified runtime environment, whereby that unified runtime environment orchestrates the VM, the containers, and serverless and bare metals in the same way. So it doesn't really matter what type of workload is. It's the same orchestrates, the same runtime will seamlessly manage that. And then the key thing to emphasize is our runtime is abstracted out that currently we support virtual VMs and containers, but in future we're going to start supporting bare metals and the next generation containerization such as WebAssembly, WASM, WASI, and unikernel as well. So that's the beauty of it. You see. So today we have Docker containers. Tomorrow something else comes up, then we can plug in a new runtime environment in there seamlessly, without making any further major changes to the overall project. Means our networking. So as part of any cloud, hyperscale cloud environment, networking is a very key component actually. So when you're dealing with thousands and thousands of VMs or millions of containers, and all of these workloads are going to be communicating with each other. So the networking plays a huge role. Okay. So, and I'm going to talk about it. We built this, our networking layer from ground up. And this is Meetup is the network virtualization layer for our next generation CentOS platform. So to emphasize the fact that the traditional networking was designed for managing VMs, you see. And then you may have thousands of VMs, which is not really a big deal. But when you start talking about millions and millions of containers and serverless workloads come and go in a fraction of a second, the whole networking, the provisioning of it, deprovisioning, all this becomes very important. So this, and that contributes to the scalability of the cloud infrastructure. And the current networking provided by Neutron, for example, OpenStack, doesn't cut it. You see, doesn't allow you to be able to have such a high-scale networking environment. You see. So what we ended up doing was we built our networking layer from ground up. And just to give you, before we dive into what exactly how we built it, just so the current networking, for example, Neutron or other open source networking solutions are based on a flow rule, OVS, Open vSwitch based, the flow rule based paradigm. And typically what happens is, you have a control plane that programs the flow rules on each of these virtual switches on each host and using the open flow protocol. And then every time that's very problematic design, from a scalability perspective. As you, if you're adding a new endpoint, you have to go to each and every host where this new endpoint is part of the subnet. So it becomes like an n-square problem, So it's not scalable. And then all of this results in a high CPU utilization due to flow parsing. And then at the same time, packets have to traverse the various networking stacks, the Linux bridges and the IP tables and OVS and all those kind of things. So this doesn't really allow us to build out a large scale networking environment. So that's what we ended up doing. We built the networking layer from ground up as part of Pamit's project. So you can see that on the screen. I'm not going to read the whole thing. So essentially, there's been a lot of other efforts going on as well. OVN, and then there was a project by Google Andromeda, and then the hoverboard. So essentially, the whole key emphasis was to reduce the number of flows. To us, it's more like putting a lipstick on a pig. You're not really solving a real problem. They're trying to mitigate what the issue is with the OVS and the flow rule base. So what we, instead of solving, go that path, what we instead did was we took a step back and we decided that why don't we just build the networking data plane layer as a regular distributed system application. So don't worry about the MAC learning and flooding the tunnel and all that. So that's the kind of approach we took. So that we essentially, Meetup is a distributed application, and it doesn't really use any of the old traditional networking constructs such as MAC learning, flooding the tunnel, and all those kind of things. And we'll kind of get into that. So how do we kind of what's the underlying technology we use as part of Meetup? So XDB is the Express Data Path. It's a Linux kernel provided by the Linux kernel, and it is essentially a host-based programmable data plane abstraction. So what that means is, and this effort, XDP, is kind of new actually. A couple of years ago, there was a paper came out, I think 2018, and then so what the XDP does is it's a very small program, 4K in instruction size, written in any language, generic language such as C, or you could write that in Rust as well. So and then these 4K programs are eBPF programs. So if you're familiar with eBPF, that's the way to extend the Linux kernel behavior, without changing the Linux kernel code itself. So and then when these XDP programs are loaded as part of the Linux kernel, they are verified. So there's no way they can, if they crash or there's some problem with the XDP, they are all verified in the beginning prior to loading, so that it doesn't really affect if something goes wrong in the XDP program. So all of these checks and balances are there. So and the key thing to emphasize is the XDP program runs within the device driver of the NIC actually. So by doing that, it bypasses the whole kernel, the networking stack. So, and that's where the performance comes, And then for typical packet processing, when the packet comes from the NIC, and then the whole XDP program is written in a very imperative language, C or Rust, and it uses typical data structures such as array, hash tables, and all that to make appropriate packet processing actions, such as reading a packet and passing it to the networking subsystem within the kernel, or transmitting it back to the NIC, or sending it to another interface, or drop it. So these are the 4 or 5 things you typically do as part of the packet processing. And these are all done by this XDP program, 4K program, loaded as part of eBPF program, loaded as part of the Linux kernel. And this is what the architecture is actually. So essentially we have 3 components. We have one XDP program that runs on a main interface of the host, and that processes all the ingress packets. And then we have one XDP program, which is transit agent, which is connected to the endpoints using V8 pair, and which processes all the egress packets. And all of these, both of these XDP programs are programmable from the user plane daemon, transit daemon actually. So transit daemon, what it does is it populates the eBPF map, and these 2 XDP programs operate on the eBPF map to do all the necessary packet processing actually. So that's kind of a very high level. So from a perspective of if you're adding a new endpoint, you just make an RPC call and to the user space program, and the user space program will automatically populate the necessary mapping of virtual endpoint mapping to the host mapping, and then from then on the XDP programs will do all the work. So that's kind of a high level, and I'm just gonna skip that. So this is part of the XDP capability as well. So XDP is pretty extendable. So you have, let's say you have a XDP packet processing, you can build a pipeline actually. So they have a concept of tail call. So you can stack all of these XDP programs, 4K, each 4K in size, and then you can have, for example, a load balancer in front of some application. So that way you can extend these are the key features. And so the summary. The flow programming model, traditional OVS model, is great for programming switches, but not good enough for large scale multi-tenant cloud networks. Tremendous provisioning, throughput, and runtime CPU performance gain using our XDP approach using Meetup. And it creates a very extensible plugin framework for cloud networking. And the key thing, just like Arctos, we have a unification of workloads here as well. So from a networking perspective, it doesn't matter if you have a workload type of VM, containers, serverless, they're all the same. Yeah, so the key thing, the last thing I wanted to highlight was the Sol XDP program can be offloaded to a SmartNIC as well. So this is essentially what the Amazon guys do, that, you know, they offload they don't use XDP, but they use similar kind of a mechanism as part of their cloud networking actually. So that's thing we are looking into it actually, to be able to offload all the processing which currently happens at the host level, to be able to offload it to the SmartNIC level. So Fornex, the next project is the edge computing project. So till now, we talked about a cluster that can accommodate 100,000 nodes or 300,000 nodes. So essentially, that's the vertical scaling of a cluster. Now, what we have, this is the second dimension to our cloud, CentOS cloud, that makes it a distributed cloud infrastructure, where you horizontally scale, basically. So essentially, you stitch the independent clusters together seamlessly, and then create a one unified layer, actually management layer, to seamlessly manage all of these independent clusters as part of the edge computing, actually. So that's what Fornex project is. So I know kind of running out of time, so I'm going to skip that slide. So these are the key features of our edge Fornex project. Computing nodes and clusters on the edge. Actually, so let me just, so this is a kind of a pictorial view of how it looks like. So typically you have a cloud, centralized cloud is the control plane, and that manages the edge nodes. And then it's not only, so as part of the project, as part of the Fornex project, you not only manage the actual nodes, you can manage the whole cluster itself. So you can have a main control plane, and you have a sub control plane, and then you can go down deep actually. So you can have a multiple level deep hierarchy. So this enables this whole hierarchical topology. The impact of that is very profound actually. If you think about it, all the 5G and the AI applications now can be partitioned and very judiciously deployed depending on the needs, the SLA, the requirements for that particular application. So low latency application could be deployed on the edge, and if there's some major higher latency work, or that work could be done at the regional cloud level, and this automatically some framework automatically determines that. So you have a AI pipeline, for example. So you have a sensing, perception, prediction, and you have a control actuation issue. So all that pipeline could be fragment decomposed and then run across all of these the hierarchical topology. So that's what I wanted to kind of emphasize. And then so that's what this means. And then we can not only stitch have a hierarchy of Arctos clusters, but you can have a Kubernetes cluster and a K3s cluster as well. And then the other key thing to emphasize is when you have edge computing, then there's a lot of use cases where you would typically do a east-west communication. So edges are talking to each other without going to the cloud. So that's another challenge. So we're building a gateway functionality that allows you to do that east-west communication. So that's high level, very high level summary of what our Fornex project is. And on there is our it's our intelligent platform. It enables AI. So that's pretty much essentially what we are doing is we are enabling a system level component, infrastructure level components in order to optimize the AI and the AI workloads actually. So things like such as the GPU, optimizing the GPU usage in a multi-tenant environment, you see. How do you, and then not just the GPUs, but other accelerators as well. How do you parallelize the training to federated learning and all those kind of things? So as part of that, we are then we are looking at other very advanced things as well. So that part of the AI infrastructure, you may want to do some resource disaggregation as well. So we're doing a lot of other advanced looking into that things as well. So that's pretty much it actually. So just at the end, I just there's not enough time and a lot needs to be covered. But I think it'll be, as Annie mentioned, we'll be very delighted to have you folks, the community, get involved in that. There's a lot of work needs to be done. And I'll talk more about that in our panel discussion as well. So that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak. Yeah, so sorry to rush you. Obviously, Centaurus is such a large platform, and 15, 20 minutes just does not do justice. But the good thing is we have a very good documentation and a lot of materials on the Centaurus website. So today we're just giving you guys a little teaser. So I'm sure there's a lot more that you can find out from the website. And again, the mailing list is a great way to get answers for your questions. And I see there are a lot of questions on the chat, and since we're really running late, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask 2 key questions to the presenters, and then maybe the presenters can answer those questions on chat, via chat offline later. So because we are so late today. And so first question for Deepak. So obviously there's a lot that the project team is working on. Can you just give it very quickly, give the audience like kind of a view on what are the other areas that you're hoping that, like somebody can come and contribute, whether it's a brand new project or it's an extension of existing project under Centaurus?
Sure, definitely. Yeah. So I think before I do that, I just wanted to, I'm just sharing my screen actually. We have a very nice FAQ, the lot of collateral on our website. And then it has a lot of questions you may have actually. So why, how's Arctos or Centaurus different from Kubernetes? Why not SRIOV? Why Midzar? What's the relationship? So feel free to go there, and that I think this FAQ may answer some of the questions you may have. But now, as far as now coming back to the questions which Annie asked, so there's a lot of work going on. There's a lot of opportunity for community to get involved in what we are doing. And then so just to kind of start off with, to get their feet wet, they can, there's a lot of stabilization effort going on for Meetup project specifically, and the automation thing, so we kind of trying to automate this whole, the deployment of Meetup and Centaurus overall kind of a cluster deployment. So to get their feet wet, they can get involved in that project. And then we have other major projects. For example, as part of Meetup, we currently don't have a capability to build stateful network services actually. So that's the state management layer needs to be built. This is a pretty big chunk. This is a major project, you see. So that's something, if a community has any ideas, so we'll be very happy to kind of collaborate. We have some ideas internally, but I think if a community wants to jump in, we'll be very happy to kind of work with the community. And then and the other, there's a lot of work, tons of work going on in Fornex project as well. And as I mentioned, the whole East-West communication, we're building a gateway to be able to get traffic from outside the VPCs, not just within VPC or across VPC, but outside from the internet as well. So this is what typically Amazon does or Google does that as well. So we're trying to enable. So that's and then the lot of GPU, the lot of AI related work, the resource disaggregation, and then a lot of optimization, GPU optimization. So if the community feel free to get involved, we'll be very happy to guide you folks. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity for you guys to get involved.
Great, thank you, Deepak. So I have a question for Shaun Yang. So obviously, Deepak talked about a lot of possible projects in the future. If I'm brand new, like this is the first time I'm involved in open source, how can I quickly learn and contribute to the Centaurus project?
This is a very good question. I know sometimes it could be very challenging for a new member to join an open source project. I think this is probably especially true for Centaurus. The reason is Centaurus has several different projects, as we just went through. And these projects not only have a very broad scope, like from the compute to network to OS kernel to AI. Also, some of them are involved with a very deep level OS kernel or system level knowledges. So I think from my perspective, I would suggest if someone want to get familiar with this or contribute to the CentOS, first, it's better to choose an area that he's most interested in, because it's unlikely for a single person to quickly get familiar with all these different projects. It's better first pick just one area that you are mostly interested in. And after that, you need to understand in this area, what kind of problems are the community trying to solve and how they are solving them. In order to do this, you can join the Slack channel or email groups. But I have to say, due to some historical reasons, now the traffic in our Slack channel and the email group isn't very high. Probably the more direct way is that you go to the GitHub repo. You read through these open issues, because these open issues are the most direct way that tell you what are the pending questions or problems that this SIG or the community is trying to solve. And you can read the design documents and see the community and the commit history. That will give you a very kind of intuitive feeling how people are working together to solve these problems. After you gain this knowledge, then you can just pick some problems to start with. In our project repos, we usually tag some issues with help wanted. This kind of issues are the issues that we select and we think are appropriate for the new members. We suggest you start with these issues instead of choosing some difficult one or some complicated ones. Right. And I think this is pretty much I can think of. And the last point is remember, design and coding changes is not the only way to contribute to a community. There are several other ways. For example, you can report an issue or help refine the document or contribute to some use case and scenarios. These are all very valuable contribution to our open source project or to our community. These are my suggestions.
Great, thank you. So I know there's a ton of information about CentOS that we have not had a chance to cover, and people have a lot of questions.
Yeah, actually, there's a very interesting question I see about P4. I would love to give my thoughts on that if we have.
I'm also typing the answer. Yeah, this is a very interesting question.
I mean, I want to be respectful of the time. But so let me just say one thing. So CentOS project is actually going to be a sponsor for the upcoming KubeCon US, which is going to be in LA October 11 through 15. And so you can find us there. The event is hybrid, so you can attend physical event or virtual. And also CentOS is also going to be a sponsor for the Linux Foundation Open Source Summit event, which is September 27th through 30th. And you can also find us there too. So there will be a lot of opportunities to also meet with our developers face-to-face or even virtually. So just want to bring that to you. I want to ask Rupal, do we have time for questions? And either we can answer them, huh?
I think we can take that questions, Annie, at the end. Actually, we are running late, so probably we will quickly jump on one more raffle round, and then I'm sure there are a lot more excitement that team have and people wants to learn about this community. So we'll definitely take that question. Meanwhile, feel free to answer the inputs through IM.
Sure. So Shaun Yang and Deepak, if you're willing to stick around at the end, we'll have a lot more time. You know, whoever wants to stick around. And also, I prepared some material, but obviously we don't have time. So I want to leave a cliffhanger for you guys. Those of you who know, cliffhanger, right? So if I know a lot of you are just starting out open source journey. I'm going to talk about the benefits of why open source is a good bet for your career, and why companies like IBM, Red Hat, Microsoft, AWS, Huawei, they all contribute to open source. They are all willing to collaborate in the open source community. I mean, you might think they compete. Why are they giving away their resources and IP? How are they going to make money? So I can address that and then reassure you that open source is definitely a good bet for your career choice. So I'll leave that at the end. So if you're interested to find out the answer, stick around until the end. All right, that's it. Thank you very much, Rupal. Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you, Shawnee and Deepak.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can answer those questions online if you like via chat.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Shao Ning.
I just want
thank
to
you,
add
Deepak.
one thing, Nikhil, in this process
Yes.
is, Annie, we got like more than 1400 registration online. So answering online would be a great opportunity for people
Yes.
to see, because it will not only reach to 431 or 450 people who are on the call, but it will go to, I think, more than 1500 people if we respond
Yes.
it online. Some people, because of Saturday, could not join. I got at least like 100 plus response that I want to see the recording. So it's a very interesting, because we are running another campaign over there where I can see a lot of people responding. So it's a
Yes.
good idea to respond online. That way more people can benefit. Thanks, Nikhil. Continue
Okay.
with another raffle. Thank you.
Yeah, same. I mean, we have some very, very interesting questions in the Q&A, and we would have loved if we had more time, but we'll make sure that your questions are answered. And if not on this forum, we'll see to it if they are being tweeted on and you get the answers on Twitter. So keep following us on Twitter. Let's now get to the fun activity. I'll pick one more random name and I'll give them a chance to win. Okay. So I'm going to search one name. Okay. And then I'm going to ask them to join in with me. All right. All right. I'm going to search for the name and I'm sharing my screen right now. Keep tweeting, guys. You guys have been absolutely amazing on the Twitter page. Here's the raffle wheel. And for the name, we have, let's see who I can find. Okay. I'm going to unmute Tanmay here, who has been joining. He was the first one to win, but he wasn't. So hi, Tanmay. Tanmay is one of the attendees who has been attending from the Click to Cloud. Yeah, I can hear you. So Tanmay is one of those people who has been following the COVID guidelines and attending the Codefest from our premises. So Tanmay, I'm going to give you a second chance to win. All right. So I'm going to spin the wheel now and let's see what you can. You tell me when I should start, okay?
Yeah, start now.
Okay. Right. Where does it stop? Oh, congratulations. Congratulations, Tanmay. You have won yourself a truly wireless earbuds. So my team will get to you for all your details. Stick around till the end of the session to know what you've got. Okay. So since I'm feeling lucky, let's pick one more name. Okay. I'll give one more chance.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Tanmay. Thank you for joining in. All right. Sorry, I just spun the wheel without any name. Okay, let's head out to my Twitter and let's see who is the next person to win. Okay. Please make sure after you tweet, you come back to the meetup so that you can know if you have won the prize or not. Okay. Do not leave till the end. Okay. I hope everyone can see my Twitter. Okay. We'll go on to the official handle of Click to Cloud. And we have Grishma Acharya here. Is Grishma here? Raise your hand in the participants, please. Grishma. Yes, I can see you here. Okay, I'm allowing you to talk. You can unmute yourself. Hi, Grishma.
Hello, hi.
Hi. How are you? Where are you from?
I'm from Nagpur.
Okay, great. So I'm going to give you a chance to win again. Okay, let's switch on to the wheel of fortune. Can you see the wheel?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me when should I start? Okay.
Start.
I'm starting. Congratulations, Grishma, you've won yourself a t-shirt. My team will get back to you on Twitter. They'll DM you the details for what you have to do to avail your prize. Okay, congratulations. Okay, that finishes the raffle for this round, but I have a very, very exciting news for all the tech geeks in the house. Okay, all those people who have been actively contributing to open source, this is a very exciting news for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to show you something very, very exciting. Okay, let's just, okay. So when you come on the Codefest website, if you go down here, you'll find something known as the raffle at Codefest 2021, which we are currently playing. But besides that, here are some steps given. This is how you can connect with and contribute to the Centaurus project. Okay, and for contributing to the Centaurus project, if you can complete all these 4 steps, half of which you have done, but then cloning this Centaurus repository on your GitHub, and also signing up for the Google group and contributing and pushing a PR on GitHub, for those of you who know, you stand a chance to win up to 1 lakh rupees, 1 lakh Indian rupees cash prize, and some exciting, amazing offers after that as well. Okay, so we've mentioned about internships and job opportunities. This is one of the ways you can get it. Sign in for the Centaurus project, fork it on your GitHub repository, contribute to open source, and you may stand to win up to 1 lakh rupees cash prize. Okay, so this is very exciting. Keep contributing to the open source community, which might win you a big bumper cash prize. Okay, so moving on. We have the next session lined up for you. We have Dr. Stephen Nastic, who's the founder and CEO of Reinvent Labs. He's also a member of the TSC for the Centaurus Cloud project. He has a track record as a cloud architect, consultant, and cloud native engineer working on various commercial and research projects for over a decade. He received a Doctor in Tech degree from Vienna University of Technology in 2016, and he will be headlining us on Polaris Cloud, managing cloud and edge SLOs with specialized Kubernetes controller. So, Stephen, it's all over to you.
All right. Hi, everyone. Great to be here. Thanks for a wonderful introduction and the invitation. So first to check, you can hear me and you can see my screen.
Yes. We can hear you and we can see your screen. Good to go.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Thank you so much. So yes, today I'll be talking about Polaris SLO Cloud. So how to manage cloud and edge SLOs with specialized Kubernetes controllers. So first, all right, is this where? Yeah. So first, a little bit about me. Founder and CEO of Reinvent Labs GmbH, TSC, so Technical Steering Committee member of Centaurus, and I do all things cloud and edge computing, basically. And if you want to connect with me, you can find me on LinkedIn, or you can check me out on Medium under @Stefan Nastic. And a little bit also about Polaris SLO Cloud. So before we dive into the technical details, just to present the project a little bit. It's an open source project which is available here on GitHub under Polaris-SLO-Cloud organization, and you can find multiple repositories there. It's a joint effort by FutureWay, Vienna University of Technology, and Reinvent Labs GmbH. It's a project which has been going on for almost 2 years now, and soon it's going to be officially, hopefully, joining Centaurus as a specialized interest group or as a SIG. So it's not going to be probably not going to be a standalone project for much longer. So check it out while it's there. What are the SLOs? Why are we doing this? And what is the kind of main motivation for Polaris SLO Cloud? So basically, we have typically in the cloud, we have a service provider, which can, for example, provide cloud infrastructure or some services. And then we have service consumers who consume those services. And usually these service consumers are interested in kind of monitoring their, for example, workloads, and also having some SLOs so some service level objective or service level agreements, basically some sort of guarantees about the performance of the services in the cloud. And mainly service consumers are interested in business KPI, so something which is actually related to their which is impactful to their business, rather than having to focus on some low level metrics and SLOs such as CPU usage, throughput, etc. but unfortunately, these are mainly SLOs which we currently see out there. And so the question is, how can we map these high-level KPIs or high-level metrics with low-level things which are available? The best thing would be to have actually these high-level things already available, because they're quite easy to map, and if exposed as SLOs, they're also quite easy for the service consumer to consume and to utilize. So just a kind of, to give you a very high level conceptual overview, what are the main parts of SLOs? So SLO is essentially, as we said, something which needs to monitor some metrics, for example, CPU usage, and then based on some threshold, decide to perform some mitigating strategy. So, for example, to avoid violating, to enable mitigating some SLO violation. So one simple example would be if a CPU is above 80%, so the metric being the CPU, the SLO kind of setting the threshold above 80%, we should perform elasticity strategy and, for example, scale out, in a sense, spin up a new container, for example. So currently, this approach is somewhat limiting, because we have a limited set of metrics which we can utilize, and also typically these SLOs are tightly bound with elasticity strategies. So this is also the case, for example, in Kubernetes HPA, and hence they're not very flexible. And our aim is actually to, same as on the conceptual level, provide the technical support for all these three different aspects, so that we can basically achieve greater flexibility and allow multiple combinations of, for example, metrics and elasticity strategies in an SLO. From technical perspective, the main aim of Polaris SLO Cloud Framework is actually to enable building and customizing all of these three components. So custom metrics, custom SLOs, and custom elasticity strategies. And decoupling of SLOs from elasticity strategies, as we've seen, is one of our goals, because it enables larger flexibility. And obviously then also increases the number of possible SLO elasticity strategy combinations. So let's start. I will try to focus now on all of these three aspects, and start with the Polaris Compose metrics, which are essentially high-level metrics required by a high-level SLOs. So when I say high-level metrics, I mean going beyond simple CPU usage or memory usage, and more towards some higher level KPI metrics, for example, such as cost efficiency. So they are not directly observable on a system, they're rather these L2 or layer 2, level 2 compose metrics, which are aggregated from multiple low-level metrics. So how this works in Polaris is that we have this cost efficiency controller, which requires some metric, or monitors some metrics from some source, and that can be, for example, our cost efficiency. And this source basically gets this cost efficiency from Prometheus, which we currently use as a kind of backbone communication for all of our metrics. And then on the other side, we have the cost efficiency controller, or metrics controller, which can query the Prometheus and also other necessary components. So, for example, to get the cost of to calculate the cost efficiency, we need, for example, the throughput of the API and also the total cost. So the metrics controller is responsible to query all of this information from Prometheus, and then also to calculate the high-level cost efficiency. And to obtain this information, we can have different external systems which provide these low-level metrics, for example, such as cube cost. And then finally, when this is calculated, when the high-level metric is calculated, it is written back to Prometheus and hence available to the Slo controller. So what is our Slo controller? Basically, it sits in between, always monitors the metrics on the one side, and then triggers some elasticity control or scaling actions on the other side. And basically what it does, it periodically evaluates input metrics to check if Slo is fulfilled or violated, and if it's violated, it triggers the elasticity actions. It's with Polaris Cloud, it's very easy to build, which is typically not the case. And you can see here at the bottom of the screen an example of an Slo controller. And I think the most important part is this last line before the return statement, which is the compliance. And basically this is the logic, and it can be arbitrarily complex because we use TypeScript to specify all of the Polaris cloud controllers. But it can also be very, very simple and easy to express. So moving on, one of the main benefits actually of having the Slo controllers implemented as or specified and designed as we do it is because they also provide type safety. And I'm not going to go into too many details in this process, but it's important to realize that throughout the whole process of designing and writing SLOs and elasticity strategies, Polaris framework actually offers type supports with providing type safety. And the types are determined. So in the first kind of part of the phase, the types are determined by the service level objective. And then in the second phase, part of this whole process, the types are determined by the elasticity strategy. So finally, to get to the Polaris elasticity strategy, basically the main aim of the strategies is to modify workloads, resources, instances, or configuration in response to an SLO violation. So as I said, you can imagine if specific metric or specific threshold is violated, or the metrics goes above this threshold, we can have this strategy, which, for example, can scale out additional container or additional VM in order to bring down the resource usage. We provide several out-of-the-box elasticity strategies or controllers. So, for example, for horizontal scaling, for vertical scaling, and what I would say something like of a very interesting approach, which is a combination of horizontal and vertical scaling. And as a kind of peculiarity, this has not yet been achieved by Kubernetes itself. On top of this, obviously, we also offer support with Polaris Slo Cloud. We offer support for custom elasticity strategies to build basically custom elasticity strategies for specific workloads. And also on the kind of upper right-hand side of the screen, you can see essentially how easy it is to build such a strategy. Again, it can be arbitrarily complex, but we also expose this kind of very configuration first, easy approach to specify and develop elasticity strategies. So how does this fit with CentOS or with Kubernetes? Well, we have our controllers, or three controllers, basically Slo controller, compose metrics controller, and elasticity strategy controller. And these are all custom Kubernetes or CentOS controllers. which we've seen. And on top of that, we have some additional Polaris concepts which we haven't talked about a lot. But these are the SLOs mapping and elasticity strategy types, which are essentially custom resource definition or CRDs. As a kind of Kubernetes or CentOS specific artifacts. Just briefly to give you a larger picture, because Polaris effectively aims to be an ecosystem and not just a framework. And we also heard a lot about the importance of, for example, this dev real first approach, meaning that we offer development containers, or we'll build a set of development containers to enable easy onboarding of new contributors. So basically what you need to do is you just kind of pull these Docker containers, and then you can immediately have like your whole workspace set up and start developing. On top of that, we also provide a CLI, which can be used to automatically generate a lot of boilerplate code, which is needed to currently provide to currently develop Kubernetes controllers. And in addition to that, we also offer some auto-generated dashboards for SLO visualization. So far, we have made significant contributions to the open source community. These are just some of the projects which we have been contributing to, and hopefully now we will officially be contributor of the CentOS project. You can. I think I'm running out of time, so I'm not going to stick too much on this slide. I also had a demo which I want to show you, but yeah, due to time limitations, you can just go and check it out on this link. I can paste this link in the chat later on, so if you can watch it at your own time. And okay, so it started. What is going on right now? I'm sorry about that. So I think decided to start. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Thank you for your attention, and yeah, check us out on GitHub, Polaris Cloud, Polaris-SLO-Cloud. So do we have any questions now, or how do we proceed?
So thank you so much, Dr. Stefan. We can see like there are a lot more questions, but I think we'll take that questions offline. And we really appreciate your insights on Polar Cloud and like how to. Everybody knows what is Kubernetes at this moment, but managing this cloud and edge SLO specialized on the Kubernetes container is the key. So thanks for sharing the great insights on that. Just a quick wrap in between. I'm sure there are a lot more exciting audience who just want to be part of this open source ecosystem. So one quick question, we can take it as in first come first served basis. Whoever will type the answer on IM will get chance to win the smartwatch. So what are these two modules that are introduced in CentOS is the question. So I'm sure that Deepak, Shaun Yang, Dr. Shaun, and Annie have talked more about CentOS and what are the modules. So looking forward to your answer. The one who will answer the two modules of CentOS will get a chance to win the smartwatch.
Put your
So we'll
answer in the
wait
chat.
for.
Yes, we have an answer. We have a winner here. We have Kishore. This is Kishore. We have Mr. Kishore. I am going to allow him to talk now.
Perfect. Oh, that's correct. Actors in Mizar is the answer.
Okay.
So first answer we received from Kishore.
Kishore, we have from Kishore. I'm going to allow him to allow him to talk. Okay. Hi, Kishore.
Hi, sir.
Hi. Hi, Kishore. Where are you from?
Sir, I'm from Bangalore.
Okay. Congratulations, Kishore. You have won yourself a smartwatch. My team will get back to you on how you can win the prize. All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for joining. I hope to see you in the end of the session also.
Okay, sir. You're welcome.
Thanks, everyone. I don't know how many of you really realize that you are getting ready for the new reality of this world. When we talk as like new reality, it's the reality of the open source. in this current situation in the COVID, where most of people are worried about their jobs, I think this is a great platform where we can start contributing and be like, create our own portfolio. This portfolio, we call it not like a CV, but creating the actual contribution. One thing I learned from our experience, like that great thing never comes from the comfort zone. And when you are part of this open source ecosystem, you have to participate little more and then showcase your like talent, not just in terms of coding, but there are a lot more where you can participate for developing the blogs, developing the, creating the videos around the technology, and a lot more. So think about this. We have to win the 10 years later. If you want to be successful, you have to work with the smart people. And I think this open source ecosystem is the one that can give you a chance to actually learn and be part of the innovative technology. And we all are engineers. I mean, we should escape the rat race, avoid that, like the things that people want you to do. So without taking time, I'd like to introduce our next speaker. Over to you, Nikhil. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Nupur. Let's move on to our next session. Our next session will be hosted by Mr. Stephen Darlington. He's a senior consultant for GridGain, and he'll be speaking on managing speed and scale in cloud, 5G, and edge deployments using GridGain. He has been working with high performance data intensive applications for over 15 years and has experience across many industries, including telecoms and financial services. So over to you, Stephen.
Great. Well, thank you for your introduction. Thank you for invitation to speak here. I think what some of you will find is if you look through the list of people who involved in the conference, one of the names might stand out as someone you're not familiar with, and that's probably GridGain. So what I'm here for this morning, this afternoon, wherever you are, is talk a little bit about GridGain, what we do and how we fit into the picture of the things we're kind of talking about today. So hopefully by the end, you'll kind of know where we fit in, what we can do, and the kind of things that we're doing involved with the project. So first off, let's talk a little bit about the company. GridGain, the company, was founded over a decade ago, headquartered in Silicon Valley. 100 plus people, seems to vary on a day-by-day basis. I'm not currently sure what the exact number is currently, but around 100. Spread around the world. So it's headquartered in Silicon Valley, but we have people across North America, Europe. Development is largely done in Russia. We've got people kind of everywhere and customers around the world. But the thing that's kind of important to, I think, the people on the call today is where we come from. And what we do is one of the first things that happened was we contributed a project to the Apache Software Foundation. If you're familiar with Apache Software Foundation, it hosts like 350 projects, all open source with like a particular kind of license and a particular kind of philosophy, kind of like enterprise software, you could say. And we donated the code that became Apache Ignite. And that's the product we're going to talk about for the rest of this session. It was donated in 2014. It became like a full top-level Apache project. A few months later, it's actually one of the fastest to reach a full project status. And we've been running ever since. So it's not just GridGain kind of writing code. We have an entire community around it. If you want to go to GitHub and contribute, you can do that. You look at github.com Apache/Ignite. You can go and kind of see the code and pull requests and all that kind of stuff. And GridGain, the company, we like to think of ourselves as kind of thought leaders in this space. So we've kind of been doing this a long time. We're kind of good at doing it, and we have many people successfully using our technology out there. So the question at this point would be, what is our technology? What do we do? This is probably the most technical thing in this entire presentation. But what we're going to talk about is largely the stuff in the middle of the presentation, of the slide here. GridGain and Apache Ignite are both basically in-memory databases. So the nice thing about it is we allow speed and scale. Those are the kind of two things that we bring to the table that you can't get with many other technologies. It's easy to get a system that's really fast. You just load all the data in memory, and you can do your computations there as fast as you can. It's quite easy to get scale. You can scale out just by splitting your data and sharding it across many machines, across a cluster of machines. But getting a combination where you have speed and scale is actually quite hard. And that's kind of what we do. So we start kind of in the middle with this in-memory data store concept. And the feature here is it's a cluster of commodity machines. And unlike technologies like Kafka and stuff like that, GridGain manages the cluster itself. So you can add and remove nodes from your cluster dynamically in real time without kind of planning for this in advance. You can scale, elastic scaling. But it also manages the memory as well. And we kind of store data in memory by default. And this allows us to be fast. But we have this kind of special source, if you like, where we kind of keep related data together, which allows you to kind of keep as much, you can avoid hitting the network. And that allows you to get the speed as well as the scale, and bringing that together. And the rest of the diagram effectively is just different ways of utilizing that clustering and that in-memory performance. So below it, we have like a persistence layer, actually two persistence layers. Because obviously it's great storing data in memory, makes things fast, but if you shut your cluster down and bring it back up again, you've lost everything. So we have a persistence layer that allows you to do fast restarts, allows you to do things like storing far more data than you have memory, like kind of traditional databasey things. And above it, we have different APIs for manipulating and accessing that data. Things like key value store, SQL. A lot of technologies like this have their own proprietary language or just simple key value stores. GridGain and Apache Ignite have a full SQL implementation, joins and group bys, inserts, update, deletes, kind of full SQL implementation. And transactions, you can do transactions across the entire cluster, across caches or database tables, which may not sound like a really kind of cool, unusual feature. But some these horizontally scalable databases only got transactions a few years ago, when we've been doing it for years. Then we have other features, data streamer, so you can stream data in real time, respond to events in real time, integrations with other technologies, like Kafka and Spark. We can also do compute in the grid as well. So SQL is one form of compute, but we also allow you to run your own kind of Java, C++, .NET calculations directly in the grid as well. So you copy your small amount of code to where your large amount of data is. So again, you're avoiding sending data across the network, which again is one of these ways we get this kind of scale and speed both at the same time. So everything in the red in the middle is what you get with Apache Ignite, which is the open source technology. But as GridGain, we build on top of this and provide a number of different extra features. So on the left and right, there's extra software that we can provide, typically for kind of more enterprise kind of deployments. So on the left, we got what we call our Enterprise Edition. Enterprise Edition has things like rolling upgrades, so you can kind of upgrade your version of GridGain without bringing your cluster down, kind of improve security and replication, improve management and monitoring, auditing, all that kind of good stuff. And on the right, we have things in GridGain Ultimate Edition, which is what you use if you are trying to use GridGain as a database, so kind of snapshots, point-in-time recovery, all that kind of stuff. In addition to this, GridGain also supplies other ways of getting you into production and making the best use of the technology. We have support. We provide support for GridGain itself and Apache Ignite. We do training. We have Nebula, which is our hosted service. So if you don't want to, if you like the idea of Apache Ignite but don't want to run it yourself, we can help you with that. And also, this is where I come in. This is what I do, my day job. We have kind of consulting services as well, where we can provide training and kind of help you with the architecture reviews, making sure you're doing things in the most efficient way possible. So this is what the technology does, but how does that apply to the real world? Well, something we've been doing with FutureWay recently is helping scale Kubernetes itself. So Kubernetes is a cool technology. What we find is when you get huge numbers of pods in your cluster, it kind of grinds to a halt. It kind of freezes. You can't support too many any more kind of pods in your cluster. And it turns out that the problem is with this kind of daemon called etcd. Etcd is like a stateful kind of bit in Kubernetes that kind of remembers stuff about your cluster. You probably know more about the details of this than I do. But the problem with etcd is not that it doesn't work, because obviously it does. We have many deployments of Kubernetes out there. But the problem is, while it is clustered, you can add new nodes to your etcd cluster. But what it doesn't do is improve performance. Adding new nodes improves the availability, but actually possibly slightly degrades performance and doesn't make it faster. The way you scale etcd is scaling up. You basically have to get a bigger and bigger pod or whatever until you kind of run out of capacity. So scaling up etcd clusters increases availability by trading off performance. Scaling does not increase cluster performance or capability. But think about back to the last slide. What does Apache Ignite do? Well, Apache Ignite is horizontally scalable, distributed database. So actually, as you add nodes to Apache Ignite cluster, not only can you store more data, but it actually improves performance. So if I have 4 nodes and I get a particular throughput, if I double the number of nodes, I basically double the amount of throughput as well, which is not something you get with etcd. So I can tell what you're thinking here. If you combine the two together, you can get a Kubernetes cluster that scales beyond 15,000 pods, because Ignite scales and etcd doesn't. So what we did was basically write like a shim layer that kind of converts the etcd API into Apache Ignite API. And when we did that, we found that actually we could scale beyond 15,000 pods in Kubernetes. We scale horizontally. So again, there's theoretically no limit. We didn't do an infinite test, of course, but in theory, should scale as far as you like. And we did do like Kubernetes density tests and things like that, and proved that it does work, and we can get above the 15,000. I think we got as far as maybe 20,000. Happy to kind of discuss the details more later. It's important to note this is kind of like a proof of concept at the minute. It's not in production anywhere, but we proved it out. It does kind of work, and it does improve the performance, and you can get beyond this kind of 15,000 pod limit. So this is kind of how we fit into what we've been talking about today. But we have many other use cases in the space as well. So we like to think we enable mission critical use cases. There's many of the use cases we have, many of the ones I'm going to talk about in a minute. These are not kind of things that hang around the edges. These are not like little caches. These are not minor things. These are things that if they go down, businesses kind of lose money. These are kind of central to what the business does. These are kind of real enterprise grade deployments. So the first one I want to talk about is kind of relevant to you guys is we have like a cache for 5G network operational data. So you'd be familiar with things like kind of UDR and UDSF records. But with 5G, unlike LTE and earlier standards, the performance requirements are kind of ridiculous. It's kind of like, you need like 10 milliseconds is kind of like on the kind of high end of what you're allowed to do for many requests. And also in countries like India and Europe and the US, the scale is also kind of ridiculous as well. You need to store vast amounts of data and be able to scale up and scale down to kind of meet your requirements. And 5G is also kind of required to be in the cloud. So you need a system that's kind of fast and scalable and cloud native. And well, GridGain and Apache Ignite can do just that. So we have a big European telco solution provider that's doing exactly that with Apache Ignite. They're seeing, just checking my notes here to make sure I get the numbers right, they're seeing less than 1 millisecond for reads and about 1.4 milliseconds for writes. So allowing them to get 3.5 times the throughput they had before, which is allowing them to reduce hardware footprint, therefore cost of the solution that they're selling to the network operators. So that's a pretty cool use case. I kind of worked with them on that. I kind of did some training for them as well. So that's a nice use case. We also have use cases at different kind of levels, so kind of real-time customer service and marketing. So we have an Asian telecoms company with about 32 million subscribers. And what they do is they kind of listen to events as they happen in real time. Kind of like, you're about to run out of credit on your mobile phone. Maybe you're on a call, maybe you're about to send a text and you're about to run out of credit. So it's helpful for everybody if you know about this. So what they do is when these things are about to happen, like before it happens or just after it happens, depending on the event that they're looking for, it can kind of trigger another event and kind of send you a text saying you're about to run out of credit. Do you want to top up your mobile phone? Or maybe they're kind of special offers, maybe they're messages about other things, kind of marketing. So they have huge numbers of different kind of triggers. They have huge amounts of data being loaded into the system in real time. I say 32 million customers. This is quite a big deployment. And obviously they want to grow as well. So they want to grow the number of subscribers and the network is going to get busier. They want to be able to deal with as many events, as interesting events happening at the same time as possible. So another one we have, 400 million messages a day is the current real-time processing target. And obviously the numbers kind of rising higher. So again, these are substantial installations. And we also have a customer in Europe that does kind of real-time customer service updates as well. So if your broadband goes down, you might raise a support ticket. And we have a customer who does kind of analytics on this data as well. So again, this is a caching system, kind of deals with things in real time to deal with things, information kind of as fast as possible. And just like many other systems, they want to be able to scale as well. So if there's a large outage or something kind of good happens, maybe a big advertising campaign, maybe the number of support requests gets much higher. And they want to do analytics on this in real time. So these guys do exactly that. We have a few clients in different areas doing real-time network authentication as well. This is quite an important one. So again, think of the mission critical nature of this. Someone turns on their broadband router, someone turns on their mobile phone. You want to be able to respond to that device pretty much immediately, as fast as possible, telling them what they're allowed to do. How fast is the service I'm allowed on my broadband? What services am I allowed on my mobile phone? Am I allowed to access the network at all? Have I paid my bill recently? So when I connect to the network, I ping, I need to talk to a system that can get me answers incredibly fast. And these customers, I say, we have a few in this kind of area, need to get responses very fast. And then use Apache Ignite or GridGain to do exactly that. So next, call data management. So you're probably familiar with CDR records and other kind of related things. So we have a number of different customers who do this with some very, very different use cases. So one is like a North American company. And what they do is they read CDR records to get real-time updates and do billing information. So like they take the random CDR records and reconstitute them into calls so they can bill people. And it may sound like this is something you can do in batch at the end of the month, but again, pay-as-you-go phones, you might run out of credit halfway through a call. You need to be able to respond to this in real time, halfway through a call, and maybe send them a text they're about to run out of credit, maybe cut them off if they'd actually run out. So people are getting what they paid for. Another side of this, also kind of passing CDR records, we have a company in Europe who does network quality management. So again, they read the CDR records, they kind of reconstitute the calls, and if there's a problem, they can spot these patterns across many different customers or different kind of cell towers or what have you, and reconstitute the event and kind of work backwards. And they can monitor the quality, they can send a man in a van out to kind of fix it or whatever is needed to do it. I'm not an expert on how it works on the hardware level. I'm sure someone with a hammer or screwdriver can fix it. So again, it's kind of pretty diverse use cases. And the last one I want to talk about here is IoT devices, kind of edge devices. So we have a few customers who do things with smart devices or sometimes quite dumb devices. So one customer works in chemical sites, and they push huge amounts of data into Ignite to do processing of basically what these kind of monitors kind of feedback. Obviously, all the different monitors provide data in slightly different formats, slightly unhelpful things. It's kind of potentially, some of it's batch, some of it's real time. So basically, feeds the data in these weird and wonderful formats and kind of standardizes them so they can do analytics and do some really cool data analysis on them. Another increasingly common use case actually is smart meters. So a number of different customers who are using them in kind of different elements. But again, the common pattern is they read data in from these smart meters. You're going to get electric data coming in maybe every 15 minutes, gas data less often. And then analyze it maybe for kind of demand response, maybe for kind of other kind of elements in that as well. So again, we have, so yeah, again, all these different use cases kind of pulling together, but the elements that bring all of them together are speed and scale. So things need to happen fast, and you also need to be able to respond to things in a kind of elastic manner, either vast amounts of data or you need to kind of dynamically change the amount of things. And the other element is the kind of mission critical nature. If you think about all of these use cases, the user will, it will offer downtime in their kind of core business if this technology isn't running correctly. And these, I should add, almost all of these are currently in production. We have real customers doing real information on this. If you'd like to know more about what we do or what our customers do, I can offer a few links that you can kind of look at offline. So gridgain.com is the obvious one to learn about Gridgain, the company. There's also ignite.apache.org, which is the open source version. If you'd like to hear about what some of our customers are doing, you can look at ignitesummit.org or imcssummit.org. There we have customers and other people from Gridgain talking about our technology, talking about what they're doing with our technology. I just think they're kind of interesting. I'll share those links in the chat just after I've finished. So that was a whistle-step tour of what Gridgain, the company, the product, and our customers do. I hope it was interesting. And again, thank you for your time, and I hope we can speak soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you so much for this enlightening talk on Gridgain, and thank you for letting us know about this technology. Quickly moving on to the next session. Yeah, let's move on to the next session now. For the next session, we have Cedric Saber, who is the Middle East Ecosystem and Industry Development Manager, Cloud and AI, Huawei Cloud. He has over 10 years of experience in the IT industry with emphasis on cloud computing, digital solutions. He's well versed in ecosystem and channel management and development, with passion for enabling cloud transformation of the partners and improving their transformation related capabilities. He will be speaking on Huawei Cloud and its capabilities. And as you guys know, Huawei is one of the pioneers of 5G in the world. They have been pioneers of this technology around the globe. So unfortunately, Cedric has not been able to attend the event, but he has sent us a short message, which I'm going to share with you guys now.
Hello, everyone. I hope that you are enjoying today's event. Over the next few minutes, I will be introducing Huawei Cloud and how we are helping in digitizing the enterprises of the future. To seize strategic opportunities, the intelligent industry upgrade needs systematic and coordinated development that should accelerate the in-depth integration of digital technologies and the real economy through digital industrialization and industry digitization, driving the growth of the digital economy. According to an IDC report, cloud-native applications will account for 80% of the applications in 2023. And according to Huawei GIV in 2025, 100% of the enterprises will use cloud technologies, and 97% of the large enterprises will use AI by 2025. The intelligent upgrade has the following characteristic: ubiquitous new infrastructure that focuses on digital transformation, intelligent upgrade, and innovation. Accelerate the construction of new infrastructure such as information infrastructure, integrated infrastructure, and innovative infrastructure. Full stack technology innovation that continuously provides industry digitalization with driving forces, including underlying key components, basic software, core algorithms, and key technologies. Digital industry collaboration with end-to-end digitalization for enterprises, as well as the entire industry chain. Inclusive digital services, well, the digital services will be widely used in people's daily lives and in range of industries. Industries will enter a new stage of comprehensive digital development to implement full cloudification and full stack intelligence. Enterprises need strong and comprehensive digital capabilities. How do enterprises build digital capabilities in an intelligent upgrade? In the digital transformation framework defined by IDC, enterprises need to have the following key capabilities. 1. The in-depth insight into customers. 2. The capabilities to build enterprise organizations for intelligent services. 3. Capabilities to master technical capabilities on digital platform. 4. Capabilities to work with the ecosystem and create business models. All cloud, full stack intelligence is critical for enterprises to build these capabilities and is the only way toward intelligent enterprise upgrade in the future. This will accelerate sustainable development and large-scale business innovation, bringing new user experience, business processes, products and services, and business models. There were many uncertainty issues in 2020. We can see that digital technologies are reshaping the competitive landscape of the industry. Technological innovation drives industry development. Cloud and AI technologies enable high-quality, efficient development. In 2017, Huawei officially launched the Huawei Cloud brand, sharing Huawei's over 30 years of technical accumulation and product solutions in the ICT field with customers. Huawei Cloud also provides a cloud base for Huawei, including Huawei's device, cloud services, and internal IT systems to support global business development. Huawei Cloud is dedicated to providing stable, reliable, secure, trustworthy, and sustainable cloud services to empower applications and data, build a cloud foundation for this intelligent world, and promote inclusive AI, which is affordable, effective, and reliable. Over the past 3 years, we have been dedicated to leading industry development through technological innovation, enhancing software, and meeting customers' diverse service requirements through system and architecture innovation. We have proposed leading technical concepts and best practices such as Cloud Native 2.0, distributed cloud, and application modernization, and strive to become a trustworthy cloud for customers. Huawei Cloud provides neutral, secure, and trustworthy cloud services based on Huawei's understanding of enterprises, working with partners to achieve mutually beneficial collaboration and intelligent upgrade. Huawei Cloud has made great progress and became the fastest growing mainstream vendor. According to the latest Gartner report, the cloud compute IaaS market keeps growing at a high speed and reached $64.39 billion. In 2020, Huawei Cloud ranks number 2 in China and number 5 in the global IaaS market and is the fastest growing mainstream cloud vendor. So far for Huawei Cloud has launched more than 220 cloud services and more than 210 solutions, provided services in 24 regions around the world, developed more than 20,000 partners, attracted 1.8 million developers, and released more than 4,000 applications in the cloud market. Huawei Cloud has developed a wide range of industry applications and SaaS services, including smart campus, smart manufacturing, smart airport, and smart finance. In the future, Huawei Cloud will adhere to technological innovation and promote inclusive technologies. Huawei Cloud will empower applications, harness the power of data, and help organizations of all sizes grow in the intelligent world, becoming a reliable partner who helps enterprises perform intelligent industrial upgrades. Huawei Cloud empowers applications and harnesses the power of data for an intelligent world. It proposes the 1+3+4 technical architecture to accelerate the intelligent upgrade of governments and enterprises. A cloud infrastructure powered by the King Tian architecture helps enterprises build stable, reliable, and efficient cloud infrastructure. It provides cloud edge device synergy with multiple deployment modes and consistent experience and ecosystems. It supports multi-architecture, compute, hardware, software synergy, and intelligent scheduling of all the resources in a domain. 3 enablement services, Roma, Model Arts, and Dayu, help enterprises focus on service innovation, empowering applications, AI, and data respectively. They accelerate innovation and the application of AI in main business processes. They help you build inclusive AI and unleash the power of data. 4 connectivity services connect the physical world with the digital world. Roma Connect, DevCloud, Meeting, and IoT target different scenarios. Huawei has gained extensive experience from its own digital transformation journey, so Huawei truly understands your digital transformation needs. Huawei enables you to transform technology innovation into the driving force for the industrial upgrade. In the cloud-native 1.0 era, cloud-native technologies were mainly used for the infrastructure layer. The monolithic architecture was resource-centric, only supported simple application ecosystems, and were mainly used in the internet industry. In the cloud-native 2.0 era, cloud-native technologies shift from resource-centric to application-centric. Cloud-native infrastructure can be aware of application features, and applications can use cloud-native infrastructure more intelligently and efficiently. Based on the cloud-native multi-cloud architecture, Cloud-native 2.0 supports distributed cloud-native applications, device edge cloud synergy, multi-cloud synergy, and complex government and enterprise applications in all scenarios. Cloud-native 2.0 is an open system that allows organic collaboration between new and existing capabilities. Cloud-native 2.0 features full-stack capabilities. Cloud-native capabilities are extended to full-stack technologies such as applications, big data, databases, and AI. In this way, the application ecosystem can serve industries, making every enterprise cloud-native. At the end of last year, Huawei Cloud released the concept and solution of Cloud-native 2.0, which has been widely recognized in the industry. The purpose was to help enterprises build full-stack cloud-native intelligence capabilities so that enterprises can easily transform from on-cloud to in-cloud. Huawei Cloud makes cloud-native technologies shift from resource-centric to application-centric. In the in-cloud era, cloud-native infrastructure can be aware of application features, and applications can use cloud-native infrastructure more intelligently and efficiently. Based on the cloud-native technologies and architecture, enterprises will further implement the DevSecOps application development mode and application architecture upgrade. They will fully unleash data value, deeply integrate AI and industry knowledge to implement service intelligence, and develop comprehensive enterprise-grade security services and global compliance capabilities. The combination of cloud-native and distributed cloud technologies will help enterprises extend full-stack cloud-native capabilities to anywhere, required by services, achieving an all-cloud full-stack intelligence. Getting to our partner ecosystem, we work closely with our partners to accelerate digital and intelligent transformation of industries by adhering to the principle of joint innovation, sharing, and shared success. For joint innovation, we empower applications, AI, and data platforms to provide technical and policy support. With this support, partners are able to build joint solutions, and customers are capable of implementing SaaS-based application transformation, accumulate data assets in a variety of scenarios, and achieve intelligent upgrade. For the sharing part, Huawei Cloud Stack, and Edge Cloud share unified architecture and APIs to ensure consistent services and experience. This creates an application ecosystem that covers a wide range of industries, scenarios, and clouds. For the win-win part, we are committed to partners' growth and success. By 2020, the revenue of consulting partners has increased by 5 times, contributing to more than 60% of their total revenue. And we have more than 30 service providers billing several millions each in consumption on Huawei Cloud. Currently, we have worked with 1.8 million plus developers, with over 13,000 consulting partners, over 7,000 technical partners, and have more than 4,000 applications in the cloud marketplace. In 2020, Huawei Cloud partners account for 60% of the total revenue, and the revenue growth rate of Huawei Cloud partners is 188%. As such, we sincerely invite more excellent enterprises to join the Huawei Cloud ecosystem. In our ecosystem, there are 2 types of HCPN partners: consulting partners and technology partners. The HCPN consulting partners are professional services firms that help customers of all sizes design, architect, migrate, or build new applications on Huawei Cloud. Consulting partners include system integrators, the SIs, strategic consultancies, agencies, managed service providers, the MSPs, and value-added resellers, the VARs. The HCPN technology partners are commercial software and internet services companies that provide software solutions that are either hosted on or integrated with Huawei Cloud. Technology partners include independent software vendors, ISVs, SaaS, PaaS, developer tools, database, management, and security vendors. Next, let's learn about the benefits that HCPN provides for consulting partners. HCPN consulting partners are classified into standard, advanced, premier, and strategic tiers based on their annual direct or indirect Huawei Cloud partner revenue, customer references, manpower investment, and other professional capabilities such as services and solutions. Consulting partners at different tiers will receive different benefits and support from Huawei Cloud. Partners can enjoy basic training support, technology support, marketing support, and business support after joining the HCPN as standard partners. They can submit their requirements to the ecosystem manager based on their business development requirements. As partners upgrade their tiers, they can enjoy more benefits, including online courses, certification exam vouchers, POC test coupons, marketing development funds, and rights and benefits of this partner support. For consulting partners, we provide the Huawei Cloud partner policies and set very aggressive incentives and benefits. First, we continue to optimize and expand partners' profit margins from multiple dimensions, such as basic incentives, special product operations, and annual revenue incentives. Second, we provide additional incentives for the partners to drive them to continuously build their service capabilities. Third, we have held over 100 online and on-site marketing events and organized more than 500 online and on-site training activities together with our partners to strengthen the implementation of the partners' benefits. We will work together to build an open, collaborative ecosystem globally. Next, let's learn about the benefits that HCPN provides for technology partners. After becoming HCPN technology partners, the partners can enjoy training, technology, marketing, and business support. The partners can use these resources to build their own solutions and products on Huawei Cloud and sell them to customers through the Huawei Cloud Marketplace to gain profits. Technology partners have 3 tiers: standard, advanced, and premier. Partners of the higher tier will obtain more resource support, including but not limited to attending online courses of the Cloud Academy, obtaining certification exam vouchers and compatibility test coupons, receiving training on Huawei Cloud Solutions, applying for marketing development funds, the MDF, and enjoying more marketing opportunities. Technology Partners Program provide many benefits and incentives. This helps partners carry out their businesses globally. In terms of training support, we provide online technical training and accreditation. For technology support, we provide Huawei Cloud certifications, trial use of Huawei Cloud services, and cloud deployment support. For marketing, we support joint solution releases and brand marketing and offer access to markets both inside and outside the Middle East. Additionally, partners can get cloud resources support before or during migration and benefit from the priority release on the marketplace. Thank you for attending today's session, and I hope that you really enjoyed it. Thank you again.
Thank you, Cedric. This was a message from Cedric Saber. That was from Huawei Cloud. Before we move on to our next session, I would like to talk about our partners, Alibaba Cloud. Alibaba Cloud, also known as Aliyun, is a cloud computing company, a subsidiary of the Alibaba Group. Alibaba Cloud provides cloud computing services to various online businesses and Alibaba's own e-commerce ecosystem. They've also made significant strides in machine learning and AI over the years. And to highlight more about the magic of AI in our daily lives, Gavin Liu, Solution Architect Director at Alibaba Cloud, has a special message for us. Gavin is the Head of Solutions Architect at Alibaba Cloud, Singapore, Thailand, and India region. He has 15 years of experience in the IT industry. He's an expert in cloud computing, networking, security, storage, and application delivery. Gavin has successfully helped a lot of enterprises re-architect their applications and migrate them to the cloud. So here's a special message from Gavin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gavin. I'm the Solutions Architect Director in Alibaba Cloud. Thanks for joining the session. And it's really my honor to attend the conference and deliver a speech about the AI. And especially if in the past years, we discuss more and more about the AI. And also with the growth of the computing power, we can do more and more things with AI, which can totally change our life. So in this presentation, I'm going to just give you some example of that. So first, let me just show you one video. Please watch that carefully.
本台消息，今天出版的《人民日报》发表评选文章，题目是在更加开放的条件下实现更高质量的发展。
So first, sorry about the languages in Chinese because I just took that from official website for one Chinese TV station. So it's a real one, it's a real video from the website. So what you can see, I think it looks just a normal news program, right? The announcer just announced the news for you. So how about that if I tell you this video was not recorded in the studio as normal? Instead, it was generated by the system. Can you believe that? Let me just play that again.
本台消息，今天出版的《人民日报》发表评选文章，题目是在更加开放的条件下实现更高质量的发展。
I'm not sure if you can tell, but only speaking for me, I can tell whether it is from the real human being or a system. I really cannot tell the difference. So let's imagine that if this kind of technology is widely used, so in future for the news industry, maybe we can just take the pictures of the announcer and then everything will be generated by the system. It's cool, right? So this technology, we are calling that the video AI. So in Alibaba Cloud, we do have a lot of things about video AI. Let me just introduce you another one. Let's say you are in the manufacturing industry, you have your workplace, you have your factory, and you want to introduce your factory to the business partner in the other places. And previously, maybe you can take some picture to show them. And right now, you can just do another video to show them. Let me just show you the sample of the video. It looks cool, right? How to build that? It's easy. So in the left side, you can see the device we can provide. Just use device to take some picture inside your factory, and then our engine can build this kind of the 3D video for you to introduce your company. Maybe someone will say, hey, that is not a new technology because I've seen that in some kind of the movie, maybe years ago. Yes, correct, that's true. In Halloween, we can see this kind of things in the movie, right? But do you know that the cost was really, really high, maybe millions of the dollars to generate a short video years ago. But right now, with the change of the technology, the cost is really, really low. Let's say if the cost is as low as around $10, do you want to also generate one video like this to introduce your company? Another thing for the AI is to do something to search inside a video, because, for example, you do have a lot of videos in your company, the library, and you want to do some analytics, you want to have some insight for the video. So the first challenge is to search, right? It's not like the text search. You cannot search in the video because it's frames, it's always a streaming. You cannot find the things inside. For example, you want to search in which video, in which frame there's a cat inside, there's actors inside, there's a logo of your competitor inside. You cannot search that because it's not a standardized things, the video. But with this video tagging system, we can do this kind of the thing. Just upload a video into the system and let the system to process the video. After some minutes, you can have all the tags in right side. For example, the actors, you can just click the actors and find in which frames you can find actors. And also the other things, for example, the dogs, the cats, the water, all those kind of things can be tagged to the video. So it's easier for you to do the next steps, for example, to generate some insight on the video. Looks cool, right? So this is the video AI. So we have the video AI, of course, we're gonna also have the audio AI, right? So what we can do for the audio? The first thing is text to speech or speech to text. Let's say there's a speech and how we can in real time get the text in the speech. Let me just show you a demo.
I rise in support of the motion. The President's speech marks the formal opening of the Parliament session. The speech itself describes the government's agenda for the rest of the term.
So with any audio, we can in real time to convert audio into a text. And also with this demo, we can see there's also a real-time translation to the other languages. So it looks really good. And with the text to speech and speech to text, we can even do something more. For example, for the smart kiosk, we can play this kind of the smart kiosk in any places. For example, inside a retail store, inside a subway station, we can talk with this smart kiosk. And whenever the smart kiosk receive audio, the first step is to convert word audio into a text, and then use our another engine to analyze the text, and then provide a proper response with the chatbot engine, the third engine. And then the text-to-speech engine will convert the text into the speech and play it off. So from the view of the end user, it's just like talk to a smart kiosk. And we can just widely use this in the different scenarios. So for this example, is the places is placed in the subway station in Singapore. So we can use this to have a lot of answers to the question. For example, how we can go to some places, which line I will take, and what's the price of the ticket. And we can even integrate this thing with some other, for example, the payment system to make it as an automatic payment machine. This looks cool. And we know that for Alibaba, is a giant for the e-commerce in company. So we also change a lot of things with the AI. So let me just introduce something we are doing with AI in this e-commerce industry. So first, the search. So whenever we want to purchase something, the first step is to search, right? So previously we are using the text search in the engine. Sometimes the result is fine, sometimes the result is not as good as expected. For example, the first picture, if I just key in the white shirt, I think I can get all kinds of the response. But if I use the image I took to search, I can find exactly what I want. And also for the second picture, for example, someday I may just see a glass in my friend's place. I took the picture, and if I just use, for example, the keywords white cup, this kind of things to search, I think the response will be not good. But if I use the image to search, I can definitely find exactly the same things I want. So image search is right now widely used in a lot of e-commerce platform to improve the experience of your end user. Another thing is for the machine translation, especially when you are doing the business with all the people in the world which are using the different languages. We need to do a lot of translation to the product description, to the customer's comments, or even inside the picture. We need to do some translate inside picture, right? So the translation tools can do a real-time translation. It can help the global user communicate in the different languages. Recommendation engine. I think in the world there are two kinds of the recommendation engine, the bad one and the good one. Just give you a bad example. Whenever I purchase a printer, in the next 3 weeks, the system just continue pushing me all models of the printers. So first, what is the good recommendation engine? Whenever I purchase a printer in the next weeks, the system will push me for the different things. For example, the ink, the paper. Previously, it's not easy to achieve, but right now with the AI technology, it's easy for us to analyze the behavior of the customer, the pattern of the customer, and then we can provide a better recommendation to your end user. So next thing about O2O. For example, if you do have the offline store, and during this COVID situation, maybe they are not willing to come out to purchase something, you can just bring them into your online store. So with the online store, we can get more information on the customer behavior, and we can also provide a recommendation to their offline purchase behavior next time when they come to your office, to your offline store. So it's bi-directions. So for the online purchase, whenever the customer just place order, the next challenge is for the parcel delivery. So we also need to improve something about the logistics part. So let me introduce something. Previously, we are using the post office to do the delivery, or we ship something to the others. But right now, we just totally change that. We designed this kind of thing in the video. Is a machine, is a robot to deliver the parcel for our. So you can see this parcel can deliver this robot can deliver the parcel for our end users. In the morning, the people just load the machine with all kinds of the parcels, and after analyzing the target places, the robot can design route by themselves, and then they can just drive by itself, and even they can call the end user to say, hello, I'm going to just arrive in your place in 30 minutes, please wait there. And then people can just scan the QR code to receive the parcel. It's really cool. And besides that, we also have all kinds of the robots to deliver different things, the parcel, the food, or even for the in-room service in the hotel. And the next thing I want to introduce is for the data platform and the visualization. Sometimes after a lot of effort, we do have a lot of data, and we can view the data in another view. For example, the big picture. The first one is about the parcel delivery in one city. So we can see the parcel delivery failure ratio there. If the failure ratio is really high, we know there's some issue there. Maybe they are short of the people. So we can just reassign the team to help this area. And the second one is about the airport management. We can see exactly the location of each airplane, and we can manage the gate system better. So for the third one is the smart city big picture. So with one picture, all-in-one picture, we can see all the key information in one city. And for example, if how was the traffic there, if there's any accidents in the area, so we can just find all the information there. So thanks for your time. So as a wrap up, Alibaba Cloud, we can provide services in all kinds of the layers. We just divide that into the 5 layers, from layer 1 infrastructure as a service, the PaaS business system, the data platform, SaaS intelligence, or even for the light consultancy, we can provide the service in all the layers. And all the technology already introduced, we can provide that with the Alibaba Cloud platform. So any company, if you need assistance from us, just let me know, and then we can work together. Thanks for your time. See you next time. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Gavin. For our next session, we have Yunqi Huang, who is a staff engineer at Alibaba Cloud, with several years of experience on PaaS, cloud computing, and open source contributions. He's currently handling the CNCF project Open Year, and he'll be shedding light on the CNCF Open Year project, how we can empower native Kubernetes with edge computing capabilities.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I'm Frank Huang, an engineer from the Cloud Native department of Alibaba Cloud. I'm very honored to join the Codefest. Today, I will share some content about how to develop the Cloud Native technology to edge computing and introduce the CNCF Edge Computing Project OpenYART. Over the next 15 minutes, we are going to hear about something with the topic CNCF OpenYART, empower the native Kubernetes with edge computing capabilities. There are 4 parts in today's topic. First, I will share some thoughts of mine about the Cloud Native and present the commercial and open source practice details about Cloud Native in Alibaba Cloud. And in the second part, we will take a look at the background of Cloud Native and edge computing, and analyze how to use the Kubernetes to build the cloud edge integration architecture, and then I will explain the detailed introduction about OpenYART, and take one commercial use case named ACK Edge. In 2015, the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, CNCF, was founded. CNCF defined the 4 characteristics of Cloud Native architectures: containerized, automated management, and microservice. In 2018, CNCF updated the definition of Cloud Native architecture with 2 new features: service mesh and declarative APIs. As we can see, the definition for Cloud Native architecture is under ongoing development. In a word, Cloud Native supports simple and fast application building, easy deployment, and allows application to be scaled as needed. Cloud Native architecture brings many advantages over traditional web framework and IT models. Alibaba Cloud has a lot of best practice and rich experience about cloud native. Based on this practice, we follow the definition of cloud native architecture and build a complete cloud native architecture system to help our customers to build the cloud native structure with the best business values. From the picture, we can see there are two offerings for Kubernetes service. One is managed Kubernetes ACK, and another is service Kubernetes ASK. ACK Kubernetes service are built on top of Alibaba Cloud IaaS capabilities for public cloud, private cloud, and edge computing, and integrated computing, storage, network, and security. ACR supports for cloud-native application asset management, which supports any OCI artifacts, Docker image, and Helm chart. And we provide the full managed service mesh ASM and provides application-level networking for microservice application across different infrastructures, different regions, and different clouds. On top of that, Alibaba Cloud is also active in open source communities, such as CNCF, the Apache Software Foundation, and the Linux Foundation, and so on. Included in the map, we are leading many open source projects in cloud native community, such as Dragonfly, the P2P distribution project of container image open source, which extend and complement the Kubernetes core controller for workload and application management. Kubewela is a Kubernetes add-on for building modern application deployment system. And the OpenEarth, it's for edge computing, and so on. OpenEarth is today's main topic. Before talking OpenEarth, let us understand the background of edge computing and the relationship between cloud edge. Edge computing is computing that takes place at or near the physical location of the user or the source of the data, rather than transmit it to a remote data center. By placing computing service close to these locations, users benefit from faster, low cost. Edge computing is in use today across many industries, including IoT, CDN, retail, transportation, energy industry, and many others. But in the new form of cloud architecture, cloud always consists of computing both at centralized data centers and distributed edges. It also allows the existing cloud service and cloud development model to be adapted at edge, including the ability of cloud native, such as container, Kubernetes, AI, and so on. This is a cloud edge collaboration platform like this. We can unit the cloud edge node and the IoT device. So, in order to realize the collaboration architecture, some of the container technology are always employed for distributing computing to edge location, like Kubernetes. This diagram shows a classic Kubernetes architecture. It consists of the control plane and the data plane. Kubernetes has a full set of standards for application and container management. There are some advantages about building edge computing based on Kubernetes are as follows. Firstly, you only need to deploy your application once, then you can available to run everywhere. This is what edge computing needs. And applications are always packaged into a container, so can be easily provisioned to all type of edge nodes. Then a set of standards has been established for Kubernetes API. Using Kubernetes for the edge computing platform makes the platform easier to work with. It's similar with the cloud. The Kubernetes, after all, is designed to work inside the data center. If using a native Kubernetes to edge, we will face many challenges. Firstly, the unreliable network between control plane and the workload. When network connection is off, if edge node restarts, ports cannot be created. And when API server meets the node heartbeats, node controller starts to evacuate the ports. Second, on unidirectional network, because all edge nodes reside in internet. And the last one, the requirement of region-aware application management. Under this background, we took out the project OpenYard. OpenYard, an open platform, extends Kubernetes to edge. It's a cloud-native edge computing framework released on May 29, 2020 by Alibaba Cloud and became CNCF Sandbox project on September in same year. By now, it's becoming more and more popular in cloud-native and edge computing. OpenYard focuses on cloud edge integration based on Kubernetes' strong container application deployment capability. OpenYard provides the necessary capability for the distribution, delivery, and control of cloud edge applications. Compared with other Kubernetes-based edge computing frameworks, OpenYard adheres to the minimum modification principle, and by installing the Yard Hub components on edge node and deploying the Yard Controller Manager component on the cloud, it provides the capability required to manage edge computing application with zero instruction into Kubernetes cluster. To empower native Kubernetes cluster with edge computing capabilities, OpenYard uses add-ons to provide native Kubernetes cluster with the following capability: edge autonomy and cloud edge collaboration to resolve the challenges above. Through edge autonomy, when the cloud edge network is disconnected or nodes are offline, applications run on the edge node are not affected. And by using the network tunnel between cloud and edge, users can obtain the standard OM ability. In the end, I will introduce the business practice with OpenYard in Alibaba Cloud. The container service for edge computing, called ACK at Edge. ACK at Edge is a cloud managing solution to coordinate cloud and edge computing and empowers customers to manage large-scale edge computing workload in different architecture like ARM and x86 with Kubernetes. It has stable cloud edge networking, which allows the application at edge can access VPCs in the cloud. It enhanced Kubernetes for the Unity-based application delivery and management for better availability. Since 2018, OpenYard has become the core framework of ACK at Edge and has been applied to CDN, IoT platform, logistics, industrial brain, and the city brain. It's also used in many Alibaba Cloud business or projects, such as Linkage, Hema Fresh, Youku, and so on. The above is all the content of today's topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yuki. Now let's move on to the exciting raffle session once more. This is the last raffle round that we are having. Okay, so I'm going to pick up 3 random names. Okay, 2 random names, and then we'll give them awards. All right. So my team has actually curated a few tweets, and those people stand a chance to win goodies. All right. I'm just going to ask for the name, and if they are on the chat, then they might stand a chance to win. All right. Okay. So do we have Sakshi here? Sakshi Chauhan? I don't think we have her here. Okay. I'm going to ask you a very simple question. Okay. A very, very simple question. And those who can answer the question on time on this chat, they stand a chance to win the raffle award. All right. Okay. Okay. Very simple question. Anybody can answer if they have just paid attention to what we've been doing. Which company is the pioneer of 5G technology across the globe? Simple question. Which company is the pioneer of 5G technology across the world? Okay, I'm getting a lot of answers. Okay, the first answer is from Nandkishore Satpute. Hi, Nandkishore, if you're there, I'm going to allow you to talk. Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Hello, can you listen to me?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to play the raffle game again, and you stand to win a prize. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's play. You tell me to start. Okay.
Okay. Let's start.
Okay. You started. Okay. Congratulations, Nandkishore. You have won yourself a smartwatch. My team will get in touch with you and tell you all the details about the prize. All right.
Okay.
Okay. This has been a riveting session so far. We've had some amazing insights into the world of open 5G cloud computing. This session, I hope everyone who's attending have gained valuable insight into what this industry is and how they can contribute to it and become a part of this industry and the future. I would love to invite Annie Lai and Rupal Shirpurkar back on screen to conclude the event and give us a closing keynote.
Okay. So hi, Rupal, do you want me to start?
Yeah, Annie, please.
Okay, great. So for those of you who are still here, you have made a good choice because I'm going to give you some information that could be really helpful to your open source career or your career in IT development. You're definitely in the right place. Open source is the trend. It's definitely is growing, and a lot of companies are choosing open source as a very strategic. It's part of their strategy. And so, for example, under CNCF, you see AWS, Microsoft, Google, IBM, and Red Hat, and Huawei, Alibaba, JD, all these large successful companies are investing in open source. Why do they do that? Obviously, definitely doing projects in the open source environment can help them, get more safe resources. In other words, be more, so they don't have to rely on their own team. Instead, the whole world, the developers from all over the world can participate in the projects they're interested in. And because of that, they have more resources, more innovation, because you're getting perspectives, not just from their own company, but also, or their own their own region, but also regions outside of their own company. And also the software is more secure because everybody's watching. The software is watching the developers, how developers developed, and so So that's why you get all these companies are contributing massively into the open source communities, open source projects. You guys know Linux has been around for over 30 years. OpenStack has been over 11 years. Kubernetes over 5 years. And now Centaurus, it's almost 2 years old. Is the new babe in the community. And as you can see, why these companies are contributing to massively to these open source projects is because they can get all these benefits. I just mentioned at the same time, they compete. So you might wonder, why are they participating and then giving their resources, the IP away? So this brings me to why open source is really right for you as a career path, because this is the trend in the industry that whatever we're trying to build in 5G, in AI, in edge, we need to have the infrastructure, the foundation ready. So the companies can build interesting applications and serve their users much better. But the infrastructure tier is very boring. It's very complex. You heard from Dr. Shaun earlier from Deepak. Centaurus project, it is a very complex project. However, you do need that kind of infrastructure to run the AI application, 5G application, edge applications. So the vendor companies actually realize that we need the infrastructure. We need to build the infrastructure quickly, and we need to work together in one direction so they can build very interesting, powerful applications to serve their end users. So you can see at the infrastructure tier, you'll see more open source efforts, and then the vendors will build applications as proprietary services and serving their customers. That's why in the open source community, we don't talk about competition, we talk about collaboration. And as somebody who wants to build a career in IT, open source is really good, I would say, job security, because if all these member companies are interested in the same project, so your job opportunities are wide open, right? That's one thing. Another thing is, open source community tend to pick the most leading edge projects. Like today, what you've heard is all about 5G, all about AI and edge computing. These are all very innovative areas. And open source developers are a bunch of smart people, passionate people about developing innovation. So they tend to pick the leading edge, technologies to work on. So if you join open source community, you'll get to learn, you get to work on these innovative technologies versus you go to one specific company. Sometimes they have only one area to work on for you to work on. But in open source, the whole thing, everything is done openly. So if you're interested in one project, you just go check it out. You can even attend the meeting. You don't have to say anything, but over time you learn. So open source community can provide you the depth and the breadth of the various innovations. And also in the open source community, we're talking more about going global, being more diverse and inclusive. There's a lot of initiatives that are happening, especially at Linux Foundation. They have a lot of diversity initiatives, such as diversity scholarships. They have training, they have mentorship programs to help newbies to come and then get involved. So it is definitely an area that you can learn faster, develop your network faster. You can find more opportunities, job opportunities, and at the same time, once you know a certain hot project, you work in certain hot project, your career is secure. Because if company A is not working out, you can always go to company B or company C, and as long as they all care about the same project or even various different projects. So that's what I have to say. Congratulations, you're definitely in the right place, and I hope we will see you again soon. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Annie, for giving us the insights. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people who really want to start contribution. I can see there are questions where people are asking, like, which project we should start with, and what are the skill sets that are really required. So I'd just like to give a quick insight, like find a project or organization, just like some of the expertise mentioned in today's talk. There are a lot of projects under Linux Foundation, like Centaurus, Kubernetes, OpenStack, then Open SDS. There are a lot more. Based on your interest, you can go on their GitHub website, GitHub link. Everything is publicly available. You can read out their documentation, search like what skill sets that you are interested in, and be at a place where you are solving the problem for next 5 years. I mean, whatever the contribution that you see in the open source is something that is going to help a broader industry perspective. So try to work with as many as issues or the projects that are available on that particular GitHubs. You normally have a Slack groups, so just like messaging, normally in every single communities, we have a dedicated Slack channels. Join that Slack channels. We have weekly meetings, especially for the Centaurians. So we have 2 weekly meetings for Mizar and Aptos. So feel free to attend that meetings. You will get chance to meet all the industry experts who are actually solving the problems. I mean, if you're worried about the coding, there are a lot more other than coding as well. If you want to write some articles, if you want to like create something else for this community, so you are most welcome. Even if you want to suggest some of the feature that could make some sense to a particular industry specific or some real scenario or problem specific, so that is also most welcome. We have conferences that is coming up where we'll be again presenting Centaurius and other open source project in Linux Foundation upcoming events. And with that, we'd like to thank you, all of you, for joining this event. We have a cash prize of up to 1 lakh rupees for a community developers. So this contest will start from today, and the prize will announce on September 14th, where we all welcome you to join a Centaurius project, fork the code, at least start some kind of contribution, generate some PRs. The PR will see, I mean, you just need to mention that you have come up from the Codefest event and you have generated number of PRs or suggested some features or given some kind of contribution that can make sense to the community. And you will get chance to win that cash prize. Not only cash prize, but there are a lot more projects that we definitely need and experts and the innovators and the contributors to be part of this community. So you all are most welcome. And with that, I would like to thank all the speakers for joining this event and taking time to give the insights on the upcoming and the latest trends and the technologies. With that, I'd like Prashant to just add a vote of thanks, and then Nikhil to add insights. Prashant, are you there?
Yeah, hi, thank you guys. Thank you for listening. And again, appreciate everyone who's joining the call today. I see quite a bit of momentum here in the community. It's one of the very successful event in my opinion, because event has seen more than 1,300 registration online. The team has worked day and night. In fact, I would like to see like some of the other companies also trying to pitch in into this kind of event, while Click to Cloud has sort of solely driven this fact. And we have received some promises from the other community members. The next events, I am hoping that we will also get representation from topmost companies, as I mentioned, Microsoft, IBM, and a few companies from like Government of India and Start of India are going to be participant into our next event. So look forward for that, because that's going to create much more larger opportunity. They have already been working with IITs and IIM, and Research for Resurgence is an organization which also holds a board position in all the IITs and IIM in India, and they are like Harvard and Stanford of India. And so in the next event, we can expect a more intense and more in-depth knowledge about how this can thrive. But in this one, we got a good knowledge on Centaurius. I see quite a good understanding from Dr. Stephen and other speakers, especially for managing the logs and other things, and grid grain, the optimizing of the CPU technologies. Dr. Xiang's and Deepak's explanation on how CentOS project can be used. And Deepak, very nice technical insight on all the details that you have. We also have speakers from Alibaba, and in the end, Rupal and Annie, you guys have done a wonderful job of like following through the everything else. Nikhil, our host of this program, has done a marvelous job. I really like that. And we like to see that you continue with all the 5 events that are we are planning in the next coming months. It's always good to see community participating, and based on the question, I see that the people have very in-depth knowledge about some of the core technology. So it's like, it's not like people are just attending, but they are like very keen on understanding of this. And I thought like initially it will be Nagpur focus event, but when I see people from Bangalore, from Mumbai, from Pune, from Gurgaon, Hyderabad, it's just like all over the India. So somehow the people are looking for options, and people are looking for solutions too, and they want to participate. So thanks for all your excitement. And you guys know where to reach out, Click to Cloud. Nikhil has done a wonderful job of showing that repeatedly on the Twitter. That's all from my side. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, sir. Again, thank you so much, all of you guys, for attending this event. I would like to extend my gratitude to all our partners who have participated with us during this Codefest event. A big thank you to all our speakers, Annie, Rupal, Stephen, Deepak, all of you guys. You have done a wonderful job in explaining this technology in as simple a manner as possible. You've also shed us light on the technology that can possibly change the course of the future of our country. So thank you for that. I would also like to thank for all the colleges that have partnered with us and come for this event. I would like to mention VNIT, Ramdev Baba, Priyadarshini Group of Institutions, KDK Group of Institutions. All of these colleges, I would like to extend my gratitude for sending their students to attend this event. I hope they have gained valuable insight from this event and will take forward this opportunity to contribute to open source. I would like to extend a heartily thanks for all the team members who have worked day and night on this event from Click to Cloud, all the volunteers who have given their service for this event to make it a success. I would like to thank Rupal and Prashant sir for giving us the opportunity to host this wonderful event. In the end, as Prashant sir have said, that we are going to be back very soon with some more events, some more exciting technology for you to share with you guys. So I hope to see you all in the future. But before going, I would like to say that we have the quiz live. We have a small quiz live, which you will find in the chats. You can go on this link, you can solve the quiz, and you can get prizes. The top 20 people who are going to get the highest scores will be awarded with exciting prizes. The Twitterverse that is going on still will be up till 6 p.m. IST. That is 6 p.m. in the evening. You can still tweet at us at Click2Cloud INC. You can still tweet about it. We'll select a handful of really innovative tweets. Please use all your creativity and innovation. We'll select the most creative tweets and we'll award them with handsome goodies. With that all said, me, your host, Nikhil Aprajit, I conclude this meetup. And yeah, I'll also be sharing feedback forms with you guys. Thank you for that. Please follow us on Twitter for regular updates on this community and open source. Keep following us. You'll get all the latest updates on there. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. Namaste.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.